Islam, everybody.
Islam.
New faces, my name is, sorry, my affiliation is SetenRa Bey. Last week when we were here, I told everybody we were going to do the Treaty of Peace and Friendship and the Constitution. That was actually my plan for today. But after talking to a couple elders, they said, wait, you can't do those, not do these, because all of these documents and things came before the Treaty of Peace and Friendship and the Constitution. So we're going to start off today with the Articles of Confederation. We're going to try to slide into the Declaration of Independence, or the Articles of Confederation, 1643 first, the Declaration of Independence, 1776 next, and the Articles of Confederation, 77 we'll try to get into all of that. It's going to be quite a bit of reading. Everybody should have a packet. I printed a ton of paperwork, so everybody will have everything that I'm reading. You'll be able to look at it and follow along with me. So we're going to do a little bit of reading. I got a couple more handouts that I need to give y'all. Just words. All right. Y'all going to get a list of words. These words come from these documents, but as y'all should know, sometimes the way we use words today are not necessarily the way they were used in 1700s or 1600s. So when I came across certain words, I looked them up because in my mind I might say, all right, cool, it means this, but in those documents it will mean something totally different. So everybody's going to get a list of definitions. I don't know how many words it is, there's quite a few, but these words will come up in these documents. All right, so let's, everybody pull out the Articles of Confederation, 1643 to 84. That should have been the first thing in your back. Just by show of hands, anybody familiar with the Articles of Confederation? What's that? What is it?
Articles of Confederation. There are laws that were already set in motion
By who?
by the ancients who were here before the Europeans arrived.
All right. Articles of Confederation of the United Colonies of New England, 1643 to 1684. Anything wrong with that? All right, good boy. Hold. That's what we want to do. Most of y'all already know I like interactive classes. That means I want y'all to talk back to me. I ain't gonna stand here and preach to none of y'all. We gonna talk. So when I ask, I'm looking for a response. Now, if I don't get nothing, that means somebody doesn't know. But when I read a statement like this, the Articles of Confederation of the United Colonies of New England, 1643 to 1684, and I ask if there's anything wrong with that, and nobody says nothing, then that kind of troubles me. So I'm going to ask y'all again, is anything wrong with that?
Yes.
All right. The Articles of Confederation for the United Colonies of New England. Where's New England?
Europe.
No, Mexico here. Northwest of Mexico.
Northwest of Mexico. What colonies constitute New England?
Massachusetts.
Rhode Island.
All right, so y'all saying Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island,
Maine, Vermont.
So as of today, New England will be considered Maine, Vermont, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts, correct?
Right.
All right.
Corporate.
The Articles of Confederation between the plantations under the government of Massachusetts, plantation under the government of New Plymouth, plantation under the government of Connecticut, and under the government of New Haven, with plantations in combination therewith. That was New England in 1643. The plantations of Massachusetts, the plantations of New Plymouth, the plantations of Connecticut and the plantation of New Haven. Now, y'all, everybody got that list of words yet? Who didn't think they did yet? So that's how it went. All right. That word plantation. Somebody, can anybody tell me what a plantation is?
Corporation.
A corporation?
Something that developed to a corporation.
It's a common.
Okay.
It's a corporation now.
No, it's a colony. It's a colony. It's a colony.
Remember, the way we use words today don't necessarily mean what they meant right there. So if we all just up and leave, we're all from Northwest Mexico. Really, there's nowhere on the globe we can go that we can't call home.
Right.
But let's just say, just some land just popped up in the middle of that land. And we're gonna go there and inhabit that land. Would that land be necessarily called a plantation? If we just left there, if some land popped up in the middle of the land, and we go inhabit that land, would that land be called a plantation?
No.
Yeah.
Somebody read the definition.
Prior meaning.
It's new colonies, yeah.
Differently than they do.
No, all this is our state.
I know it is, I'm talking hypothetically.
Won't be no land, man.
I don't care if it's underneath the
I'm talking
water.
hypothetically, I know it's underwater.
It's
I'm
underneath, it's
not quite
ours.
with the lie.
It's still ours.
But y'all, I want y'all to clearly get what I'm saying. Plantation, or an original settlement in a new country,
Yeah.
which is why
New settlement.
in 1643, Massachusetts was a plantation. New Plymouth was a plantation. Connecticut was a plantation. And New Haven was a plantation. Because they were settlements.
Right.
They were pieces of land that they settled
In the new world.
in the New World.
Right.
They're farms, no matter how you look at it. But as we go through this document, you're gonna see that they didn't act too much like farms. They showed up. They was like, this is ours.
Originally wondrous.
They showed up and they flat out just, this is us.
Yeah.
We claim it and we take it over, and this is what it is. So let's get into it a little bit. On the first page, everybody with me?
Yeah.
You know, I have the Confederation. Yeah, 1643.
It's on the second page. It's on the second page of this.
This is what the front page of it looks like for whoever can't find it. You got two of these documents, one should be in front of your pack and one should be in the back of the pack. They both have the same cover. One is for 1643 and one is for 1777. Everybody got it?
Yeah.
See one. Huh? That's 77, we on 1643. So the cover should look like, once again, the cover should look like this, y'all. Right. So anybody who does not have this, let me know. Right.
Oh.
I think this is it, yes. Excuse me for a minute, y'all. I gotta help these mothers. This is it.
Thank you.
Yes, that's it. All right, everybody with me? Whereas we all came into these parts of America. They telling themselves right here, whereas we all came into these parts of America with one and the same end and aim. I'm gonna stop at that first line. They say they came with one and the same end and aim.
Right.
What was that end? To spread Christianity and take over. That was their intent. They'll have it. When you read these documents, and then once we go into the Declaration of Independence, you're going to find out that they like to play the victim. They made it seem like we was just knocking them in the head every time we saw them. But it was from their ways
Churches.
The European, the way he is now, don't think he came that way. He's always been.
Yes.
He's always been controlled. He's always been dominating. He's always been intent. Taking over. Y'all know just like I know, wherever he goes in the world, he's got the destruction. So they showed up with one and the same end and aim. And it says, namely, to advance the kingdom of our Lord Jesus Christ and enjoy the liberties of the gospel in purity with peace. Now, all y'all got to do is think back over the Christian Crusades.
Yeah.
And they talk about liberty and peace.
Right.
They killed in the name of who they call God.
Right.
But they came with the same one end and aim, to spread justice and peace in the name of their God, Jesus Christ.
Their history books would call that what they called manifest destiny.
Yeah, well, you know, manifest destiny is, you know what, in the South, where you talk about manifest destiny, I have a book at home. It's about the expansion into the West. I don't know if any of y'all have seen this picture, but I have a picture of over 100,000 buffalo skeletons.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So who's up? Somebody said it's up. So they would actually go out there
Yeah.
because they know that's how they eat. They know they use the buffalo hide to keep their bodies warm. So they slaughter them, and then what they got?
Just for their hides, let the meat drop.
You know, we talk about manifest destiny. We are further dispersed upon the sea coast, and rivers than what was at first intended, so that we cannot, according to our desire, with convenience, communicate with one government and jurisdiction. And whereas live encompassed with people of several nations, encompassed with people of several nations. Those might be all those what they call tribes of Moors.
The folks that was here already.
Yeah, you were here already.
That would be all these nations. But look at the next line. Look at the next line. Several nations and strange languages,
Yeah.
which hereafter may prove injurious to our posterity.
Wow.
Now, you show up at somebody else's house, and you come in and you put your flag in the middle of their floor, in their living room, and you take the remote control and turn TV.
Right.
Then I imagine it would be some trouble for you and your posterity. You might not have no posterity if you go in the wrong house. It might not be nothing later on. See what I'm saying? I mean, this is only the first paragraph.
Right.
It's not only the first paragraph. And for as much as the natives had formerly committed sundry insolence and outrages upon several plantations of the English, and have late combined themselves against us, and seeing by reason of those sad distractions in England which they had heard of.
Yeah.
Y'all, see, I keep stopping because I did a lot of highlighting and a lot of scribbling and scratching as I was reading this document. But the people in England that they heard from were who? Moors.
Yeah.
So here, y'all go ahead and take our garbage. We gonna send them over there. But before, let me let you know how they are.
Right.
Let me let you know that they will come and kill your women and children if they think it's any wealth. And don't get me wrong, and I'll say this to the day I transcend. I'm not talking European hate. I'm not being what they call racist.
Savagery. Yeah.
I'm not talking no kind of supremacy. Just being realistic.
Right.
I'm just being honest. I'm not saying anything I'm saying to cause anybody to go out of here today and say, oh, I hate these Europeans. No, I'm just being honest.
Right.
They themselves documented all of the stuff they've done, so it ain't like I'm making none of it up. But when they say they have distractions from England in which they have heard of, and by which they know we are hindered from the humble way of seeking advice or even those comfortable fruits of protection, which at other times we might well expect. I don't know because I wasn't alive then. I don't know if we actually had artillery. I don't know if we had guns. I don't know if we had guns. But I do know from reading Christopher Columbus's diary that when he went back to Europe, he said, with the right amount of men and the right amount of artillery, I can go back and take the whole lot of them. I can go back and take the whole. I don't know if we were using bow. I don't know. I wasn't alive. But if I show up with artillery, if I come through that door and I got enough rounds for all y'all all gonna do what I say. And they knew that. I mean, this is 1643. Your boy Columbus sailed in 1492. But here they are talking about protection, which they expect. And all they do is cause war. You'll see later on in the document as much as they talk about. Back up a little bit where it says, as foremuch as the natives have formerly committed sundry incidents. I think those words should be on the list. Sundry incidents. I had to put them on there because when you're studying, and anytime you're reading something, you should never read past a word that you don't comprehend. If you don't comprehend it, then you're supposed to stop, and you're supposed to research it and understand it. Now, all of these definitions that I gave y'all come from this dictionary right here, which would be the American Dictionary of the English Language, 1828, Lord Webster's Dictionary. I use this book because it's the closest book I had to these days. If I use a dictionary from today, I wouldn't get these definitions. Although Webster say they don't change definitions. So, sundry means several, more than one or two. Several, more than one or two. What was the other word? Incidents. To treat for haughty contempt. That means they wasn't happy with it. That means they was dealing with it. As foremuch as the natives had formerly committed sundry incidents. That means that on more than one occasion, they was a little disgruntled or pissed off with these Europeans.
Yes, sir.
That's what that means. See, when you look at these documents and you get these words you don't understand, the best thing to do is look them up, because I could have just read it and said sundry incidents, blah blah blah, but I wouldn't actually know that it meant on more than one occasion they was pissed off with these guys. So they say we therefore do conceive that our bounden duty, bounden is binding, our binding duty. That word should be on this also, without delay, to enter into a present consociation amongst ourselves for mutual help and strength in all of our future concerns. That, as a nation and religion, so in other respects of the ensuing articles, wherefore it is fully agreed and concluded jointly and severally. I skipped one, I apologize. Wherefore it is fully agreed and concluded by and between the parties of the jurisdiction named above. What jurisdiction named above? Their jurisdiction. They claimed their own jurisdiction. They showed up and they said, these plantations are ours. We're going to make some laws and we're going to make some rules and regulations in somebody else's house. They're not talking about our jurisdiction. They're talking about their own jurisdiction.
Corporate jurisdiction,
And they jointly and severally do, by these presents, agree and conclude that all be and henceforth called by the name of the United Colonies of England. That word, I'm sorry, New England. If you go back up 2 lines, you see that word severally? Severally should be on the list. That means separately. That means separately. So, Massachusetts plantation, Connecticut plantation, New Haven plantation, they're all the same group of people, but they operate separately. So it's like if I got the right side of the room, I got the middle of the room, and I got the left side of the room, and I got the far left side of the room. All of y'all would operate separately. So you will be in control of yours, you in control of yours, you in control of yours, and you in control of yours. That's how they set it up. They showed up in somebody else's house, and they put those rules in place.
United States, aka state.
Article 2, down bottom, United Colonies for themselves and their posterities do jointly and severally, there's that word again, hereby enter into a firm and perpetual league of friendship and amity for offense and defense. So they're already getting ready for war. Offense and defense now, because if it was only them, what they fighting each other? Why y'all fighting? We're all in this room together. It's just the right, the middle. You know, why y'all fighting? They're getting ready for war because they know they invaded somebody else's territory. Mutual advice and succor, that word right there, succor, however, succor, it means to aid, to help, or to assist. That should be on your list also. So they're looking for each other to aid and assist when in times of offense and defense, in times of war. Upon all just occasions, both for preserving and propagating the truth and liberties of the gospel and for their mutual safety and welfare. Now, when they say the gospel,
Their
they say, for what gospel?
Their gospel.
What gospel? The Christianity doctrine. The gospel. Anytime you hear that word, that's probably going to be the first place you go. Anytime you hear gospel, you think about gospel music, you think about gospel, that's going to take you back to Christianity. So that's their mission. Propagating the truth and liberties of the gospel and for their own mutual safety and welfare. Y'all ever hear about back in the 70s? I know it's a couple of others in here. I got a book in the house, and the title of it is slipping me, something about the missionaries. Y'all ever hear about when they went into South America with the Penade Indians?
Yeah.
You know about that?
The Spanish
So what they did was they went down into South America to the Penade Indians, and Christian missionaries it was, by the way. And what they did was they said, y'all need to be saved.
Yeah.
So they like, saved from what? They probably start looking like, what's coming? Y'all need to be saved. They like, saved from what? Y'all need redemption. Y'all need salvation. So they looking at them like, what the hell y'all talking about?
Right.
So what the Europeans did, they said, you know what? We're going to find somebody who can speak Penade. And what they did, this is 1643, I'm talking 1977, 30 years.
Right.
30 something years, 37 something like that. They found somebody who could speak Penade, and they rewrote the Bible to say that Penade Indians killed Jesus.
Yep.
They got somebody who can read Penade, which was that dialect of those Moors in South America, who they called the Penade Indians, and they rewrote the Bible to make it say that Penade
Indian
killed Jesus. So when they tell them that it's your fault, and of course they put some, they put pictures.
Right.
Ain't nothing like a good picture to scare the hell out of you. Y'all killed Jesus. Now, if you don't accept Jesus Christ, as your personal Lord and Savior, you see that big old pit of fire? That's your feet. So what happened?
See the soldiers in back there in front of that fire.
I am control.
Those ones that
They
didn't accept
converted
it
the
got went to
If
the
they
blade.
did not accept it,
Went to the blade.
they got killed.
Yeah.
They didn't have no choice.
Right.
They did it everywhere. I just told y'all a couple weeks ago about the movie Nicolas Cage. I can't remember the name, but who saw the movie with Nicolas Cage?
Which one?
The Christian Crusade, Christian missionary movie, where they were slaughtering people in the
Oh,
name,
I seen this.
in the name of their God.
National
Jesus
Treasure.
Christ, yeah.
Nah,
No, it's
National
not. It's like he's like Knights of Templar.
Not national treasure, but so this 1643, and it's still going on because they still going everywhere in the world and they still spreading that gospel.
Right.
Now, let's be realistic. I know I'm moving a little bit away from here, but we're going right back. If they showed up in 1643 and their mission was to spread their gospel,
There you go.
anybody see where I'm going?
Yeah. The
Our people
extermination.
today,
The extermination.
our people today
Still.
promote their gospel
Right.
more than they do.
You want to get asleep. Oh, yeah.
More than they do. You got our people, they had the Holy Ghost, they shouting, running up and down the aisle, doing backflips. I don't see no Europeans doing that.
Let me see it.
It's their gospel. But it's us promoting.
They in the back counting money.
Let's move on to verse 3. Let's have the bottom of the page. It is further agreed that the plantations which at present are or hereafter shall be settled within the limits of Massachusetts shall be forever under Massachusetts and shall have peculiar jurisdiction among themselves in all cases as an entire body, and that Plymouth, Connecticut, and New Haven shall each of them have like peculiar jurisdiction and government within their limits. And in reference to the plantations which are already settled, or shall hereafter be erected, or shall settle within their limits respectively, provided no other jurisdiction shall hereafter be taken in as a distinct head or member of this confederation, nor shall any other plantation or jurisdiction in present being, and not already in combination or under the jurisdiction of these confederates.
Confederate.
So you caught that.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody else catch that? Confederates? Anybody know who the Confederates are?
Rebels. Yeah, like you said, from the Civil War.
From the Civil War. Or before. Yeah.
Wow. That's way before that.
But they same people, right? Yeah. They just moved a little further south, so you gotta remember right now, we talking about 1643. They was just posted up there.
Yeah.
In New England.
They won.
Wayne.
They won. They rebels.
In one of the, we call it conventions, the South. Up in the north, where they were right, they found, it was unfair for them to make a decision to get all the, they call it all the fruits, because they had the most numbers, there was these win a lot of things. So some of these people here probably moved south. Just
Yeah, well, you know, the beef with the South and the North was about nothing, finance. It's all about finance. Well, when you see right here, they were calling themselves Confederates long before the Civil War, long before 1861 even popped off. Here all right, let's go back. All right, the jurisdiction of any of these Confederates be received by any of them, nor shall any two Confederates join in one jurisdiction without the consent of the rest, without consent to be interpreted as expressed in the 6th article in suit. They already figured out that they was going to take over.
Which would it sure?
They already had it figured out. So while we sitting around and we arguing with each other, they were sitting back plotting and planning. That's why they put these articles together.
Islam, bro, may I read from the Black's Law Dictionary, Confederation?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Criminal law, it says criminal law, all right? The association or banding together of two or more persons for the purpose of committing an act or furthering an enterprise which is forbidden by law, or which, though lawful in itself, becomes unlawful when made the object of the confederacy.
It's their corporate color law.
The Confederates.
Yeah, corporate color law.
So it's unlawful all the way across the board.
Yeah, that's color law. Yeah.
But you already know you're dealing with a lawless people.
Corporate.
You're dealing with people who have no morals at all. At all. They definitely had intentions, and we'll see that once we get into these land ordinances. It is by these Confederates agreed that the charge of all just wars, whether offensive or defensive, upon what part or member of this Confederation soever they fall, shall both in men, provisions, and all other disbursements be borne by all the parts of this Confederation in different proportions according to their different ability and manner following. Namely, that the commissioners for each jurisdiction from time to time, as there shall be occasion, bring true account and number to all of their males on every plantation. I'm sorry, in every plantation. See, I'm saying on because I got the other plantation in my head thinking about people out there picking cotton. Of what quality or condition soever they be, from 16 years old to 60. So that's from 16 years old to 60.
Families coming down.
So that means they were going to get boys as young as 16 and men as old as 60 to fight wars.
For them.
Then they, I think somebody who was from the military helped me. I think the draft was 16, 18 to 25. When they were drafting boys to go in war.
18.
18?
Yeah, 18.
Was it 18 to 25 or just 18 to whatever?
No, 18 to
They're like 37 or something like that.
37.
37?
37, yeah.
Yeah, it's around that now. You can still get, if y'all crazy enough and y'all ain't got nothing else to do, you can still join the military until you're 38. Even though ain't none of us got no business. Yeah. But they were back then, taking people from 16 years of age to preschool, which will be 60 years old. I know I'm 60 years old. I ain't fighting the war. They can do what they want with me. I'm not going to fight the war. And according to that, according to the different numbers, which from time to time shall be found in each jurisdiction upon a true and just account, the service of men and all charges of war be borne by the law. Each jurisdiction or plantation being left to their own just course and custom of rating themselves and people according to the different estates. Now, somebody tell me what a state is.
Estate,
A state.
our inheritance,
E-S-T-A-T-E or S-T-A-T-E?
the land and
Estate.
resources.
E-S-T-A-T-E, state. The estate is the
Something
land.
bound
The
by
land and resources.
So,
hereditary
so
blood,
Person's
birthright.
estate is their work.
how do they get in this document? They're different estates.
Yeah, they down with the language. But they don't-
They're different estates.
Yeah, language and meaning.
They came in, and you got, see, if you're wondering why things are the way they are today, we gotta go back here. This is why when I was gonna do the Constitution and the treaty,
Right.
the elders got to me, they said, nope,
Mhm.
back before that. Way back before that. They was claiming your estate back then.
Right.
They still claiming your estate now.
Yeah.
So when people say, well, we writing these writs, man, and we doing this and we doing that. All right, you talking how long ago? 1643? They was claiming your estate.
Mhm.
And they did it before this. This just when they did this. This just when they wrote it. So they ain't so easily going to just bow down and give it back. They've been in that position for a very long time. It started up there, came down here, and then it went west.
Work game.
And
Find out from the
then, and then the
landowners.
next sentence includes the resources.
Oh, yeah.
Work game.
You understand what?
While all the old money, all the mega rich go.
You see where they go. You see where they go now. What's the first plantation they named in this document? Massachusetts. That's where they go. That's where everybody go, in Massachusetts. The president, Bill Cosby, Oprah, they go to Massachusetts. Like my man said, it's that old money. And back then, it was that old money, because they was dealing in gold themselves.
It's been prosecuted from
You know what I'm saying?
From over here.
So I mean, don't think that just because, you hear about something that may have happened after the Civil
Yeah,
War.
ain't still going on, all right.
Nah, man, this been going on for a long, long time in these lands, your lands, our lands. Each jurisdiction or plantation being left to their own just course and custom of rating themselves and people according to the different estates, with due respects to their qualities and exemptions amongst themselves. Though the Confederation take no notice of any such privilege, and that according to their different charge of each jurisdiction and plantation, the whole advantage of war, if it please God, so to bless their endeavors. If it please God to so bless their endeavors, whether it be in lands, goods, or persons, shall be proportionately divided among the said Confederates. What was them Confederates again? One or two people are joined in some unlawful stuff.
Unlawful
All right, so
Spirit.
if God so bless their endeavors, we gonna take, well, let me put it in their words. If God so blesses our endeavors, then we'll take their land, we'll take their resources, and we'll take
Them.
Their person.
There's gotta be that. Come on, you know who they got.
Yeah.
They got, see, it ain't funny as last week. Remember when I thought somebody said the Pope, and I was laughing?
Mm-hmm.
But this time, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but now the guy that said last September, hey, I washed my hands of this. Y'all on your own.
Yeah. Y'all know about that.
Hey, look.
Y'all know about
It's
that.
been before tongue, what they
The
say.
letter that the Pope wrote on July 11th.
Comes down to now.
I've heard
Tell you
about it.
anything.
How many people not familiar with the Motu program?
I'll email them a copy if they give me an email address.
Show of hands again?
I'm not sure.
All right.
Appropriate. First person.
All right. So did everybody sign it?
Mhm.
No, you ain't signing?
Explain it.
All right, on the sign-in sheet, it's a space for your email address and your phone number and stuff like that. If you leave it, then we'll send it to you. The copy of the motu proprio. But the motu proprio was a letter that the Pope put together, basically telling all these criminals who've been involved in human trafficking and thievery and all that nonsense. I ain't covering your back.
Oh, I did hear that.
I'm done with you.
hear that.
You on your own.
I didn't know what it was called.
And then September 1st, the document went into effect. And then September 1st, you had some resignations in the President's Cabinet
Yeah,
all over the place.
yeah. That was already done, though. Still doing that.
Good question, bro? You got a question? Yeah, September 1st, it went into effect. And the Pope said, I'm done with y'all. I'm washing my hands. It's a wrap. It's a documentary. If y'all can catch it on HBO, if anybody has Comcast or however you can get it, it's called Me and Max. Let me write it down so y'all can check it out if you get a chance. But that
They had the documentary.
That documentary was about the Catholic Church.
Last night, man. So much trash about that, man.
It could be an MI. Either way, it's me and Max. If y'all can pull that documentary up, take a peek at it, because it talks about the last Pope. What was his name?
Benedict.
John Paul?
Benedict?
No, Benedict. Pope Benedict. Pope Benedict.
He quit.
Yeah, John Paul. He
Send it to
he
Pope
put the
team.
house on it. Well, Pope Benedict,
The Nazi.
before he was Pope Benedict, he was Cardinal Ratzinger. And Cardinal Ratzinger was the second in command under Pope John Paul II. So everybody knows about the homosexuality and the child abuse that goes on in the Catholic Church, and they don't see it, so it's not like I'm letting nothing out of that. All right. That documentary chronicled one father in particular from Wisconsin. He was head of a school with deaf boys, and in the course of 20 years, he molested over 200 boys.
Right.
Now, what the sad part was this: the Catholic Church, of course, they covered it up.
Yeah.
So imagine I'm the Pope, and I got JWB right here, right? I say, listen, I'm gonna give you this check with $8 million. Now we talking back in the 50s and 60s. With $8 million, you're going over to that table, you go to this table, you go to the table behind them. Make it right. That's what they did. They made it right. How many people, of our times, gonna take that cash? So that's what they did. Now, the thing was this. Now it was Pope Benedict's butler that put a lot of this information.
Yeah.
When Pope Benedict was Pope, they asked him about molestation and the boys being found and things of that nature. And he said, molestation. Boys being found, who? Now that was on camera. It's on the documentary. But Cardinal Ratzinger made it mandatory that any molestation cases, any kind of homosexual activity within the church came to his desk only. Now y'all know how long what's his name?
Pope Benedict,
John
yeah.
Paul.
Yeah.
He was Pope for about 95 years.
Right.
So Ratzinger was right there with him the whole time. And he covered up all of those rape cases.
Yeah.
And then it all started coming out. And see, y'all see when I was out one day and I saw on the TV, on this date, Pope Benedict is to resign.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, the first thing that went in my mind is what the hell is going
What's
on?
going on, right?
Popes died.
Yeah, don't resign. You're
The
right.
last Pope that resigned was like 1,000 years ago. So
Yeah.
Popes don't resign, they die. So that means something's going on. If y'all get a chance, check out this documentary. Me and Max on HBO. I'm actually surprised that they put it out.
A couple were murdered. One was murdered.
Well, what the point that I'm making is they don't
They don't
resign.
retire.
That's the point that I'm making, that they don't resign.
MEA,
Question, man.
He just came.
M-A-X-I-N.
Yesterday or the day before, Pope Francis.
Or it might be M-I.
He made an apology for what?
I don't know.
About recovering.
All the touching the boys and covering it up.
Bump to the guns.
Yeah.
That make it better.
That fixes it.
That make it better.
That
You
fixes
can't forgive that. Ain't no forgiving that because you're going people's lives. You ruined the influence. Ain't no forgiveness.
That's when you're boom.
But that's the same God that they talking about right here, y'all. When they say, if it please God,
Government ordinance.
so to bless their endeavors. That's the same God that they talking about. y'all.
Government ordinance department, they got it talking about.
That's the same God that they talking
What he
about.
was saying,
Yeah.
though, forgive, the victim.
No, he's saying forgive the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
He's saying forgive the Catholic Church. There's no forgiving.
Yeah. No,
There's no forgiving. You ruin people's lives, and then you pay people off, and it's been going on forever.
Right.
Y'all gotta do any of y'all, how many people in the Europe?
excuse me?
How many people in the Europe? So, if y'all can remember, if y'all seen any of them, then you see the statues. Now, they're not like the ones you see when you say like you see me standing here, and I got all these statues of these little boys around me with wings.
Right, right.
They ain't got wings in Europe.
No.
They making us believe that they're angels.
Yeah, chair.
They not wings. They not wings.
Mm-mm.
Those they little boys.
Yeah.
Why you think every time you see their statues, you see their little penises,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't never have on no clothes?
Just the enemies.
Why? Why? The women be sometimes covered up. Why ain't none of the men covered up? But why it's always men with a bunch of little boys? Look at if any of y'all, if you ever get the chance, if you go to Europe and France or Germany or wherever, in Spain, and you look on the ceilings, you won't see as much
All
naked
naked
little boys.
little boys.
Not no little girls.
And that's a
I ain't no pervert. I ain't saying she no little boys. But the point that I'm making is it's always little boys.
Yeah.
And it didn't start now. It goes way back, way back before them.
Zeus the enemies.
But that's the same God that should bless their endeavors.
Right.
When they come over here and knock you in your head and take your land, your resources, and you.
Enslave your family.
Let's move on to Article 5. It is further agreed that if any of these jurisdictions or any plantation under or in combination with them be invaded by any enemy whatsoever, upon notice and request of any three magistrates, any further meeting or expostulation,
Of that jurisdiction, so invaded.
I missed
Pick
it.
a line.
I'm tired, y'all. I'm gonna start over. Article 5. It is further agreed that if any of these jurisdictions or any plantation under or in combination with them be invaded by any enemy whomsoever, upon notice and request of any three magistrates of that jurisdiction so invaded, the rest of the Confederates, without any further meeting or expostulation, shall forthwith send aid to the Confederate in danger, but in different proportions. That word expostulation, that means to reason with the person that you're in opposition with. To reason with the person that you're in opposition with. My man Rick said to reason with bullets.
Right. That's what we're gonna do.
Huh?
What you do.
Now, that's what you say, but that's why I went to the 1828 dictionary, because we ain't talking about today. We talking about the way they meant it. That's why I gave everybody the list of words, because you know it's always going to be a play on words. It's always going to be a play on words. Just like now, if you had read a document and you had that, and you said, all right, explicitly, it's just me sitting here thinking on the thing, and you went forward with your document in that manner, you know they're going to jump on that, because they peace, they paying price, that's what they're going to do. And they're going to suck all your blood out because you worded it correctly. That was the whole purpose of me. Every word that I came across that looked strange, that's why I looked it up. That's why I put it on paper, so y'all would know. Not saying that you don't know, because you do know, but I put it on paper so that y'all would know what it is. Hey, man. Question, bro?
Yes, before you use the terminology, you used a reference, whereas if we was over here whooping on the Philadelphia police, the Camden police could come over and help out.
And aid them, yeah.
What was that terminology you used for that? It was,
Today?
no, it was in a different
You
class.
talked about last week?
Maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago.
It was a compact.
Compact agreement.
I remember y'all.
This made me think of that.
It means the same thing. It's a compact agreement. So basically, all of y'all are in agreement
Yeah,
that,
brotherhood. Yeah.
and if I come in here and I knock out the 3 of them, then y'all supposed to say, all right, cool. We got the same ideals, we got the same goals, we got the same, what they say, in aim,
Yeah, same aim, yeah.
I'm getting it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a compact creek.
Yeah.
I ain't forget, bro. It's a compact creek. So you see that that's all that they were making back then.
Cause then,
But
cause
we
they-
there's no law, so
Cause that's,
it's
they're
ordinance.
their own state, right?
Yeah.
They're their own state. Well, I told y'all 1,000 times what a state is. This right here is a state.
Yeah.
They encompass a state. So
Yeah.
they're their own state.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're a state in somebody else's territory.
Right.
Somebody else's jurisdiction.
The invaders.
Who said, all right, the hell with your jurisdiction. The hell with what you got going on. You got going on. This is what we gonna have.
But they all have an agreement.
No,
With
it's
each
before
other.
the agreement,
With each
it's
other.
1600s.
With each other, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you figure Massachusetts,
self-proclaimed
New England,
jurisdiction.
Connecticut, they all agree. This is what it's gonna be. And if they come up in here, and if any of y'all see any of them coming up in here, we gonna have it. We got people from 16 to 60. Where we at?
Expostulation.
Expostulation, I didn't even start the middle of this background.
Focus in a-
Any further meeting or expostulation shall forward send aid to Confederate endangered or the different proportions, namely Massachusetts, and 100 men sufficiently, probably should say 100 men, but sufficiently armed and provided for such a service and journey, and each of the rest 45 so armed and provided for any less number, if less be required according to this proportion. So according to the size of their jurisdiction, their plantation, their colony, or their state, is how they figured how many men we're going to take out of there. Massachusetts being the biggest one of all of those jurisdictions or colonies or whatever they want to call them, plantations, they had 100 men. That was the beginning of the militia. That was the beginning of the militia. But if such Confederate endangered may be supplied by their next Confederates, not exceeding the number hereby agreed, they may crave help there, and seek no further for the present. The charge to be borne, as in this article is expressed, and at the return to be victual.
Victual.
Yeah, that was one of them words, but victual is to be supplied with provisions. That means they want to feed them. Make sure they got clothing, make sure they got all of that stuff that they need. That should be on the list, I'm opening it. No? All right. Well, write it in. Write it in. Yeah, that's where the word little comes from. So when you victual, then you're being supplied with food, clothing, things of that nature, but more so food. And supplied with powder and shot for their journey, if there need be, by that jurisdiction which employed or sent for them. Now, if somebody coming for you, you ain't just gonna go with your hand out. If somebody called me and said that Rick and JW and Tiger was coming for me, good luck. Because I ain't fighting all that.
Right.
I'm gonna stand back there, and y'all right there, and I'm gonna have my pistol in my hand, same stuff. Even if I'm a coward, even if I don't have no intention on shooting, just the thought of me having it is gonna stop them in their tracks. And we're gonna have a totally different conversation than we was gonna have before they thought I had that gun. So when they say if need be, there was no if need be. That's just the cuteness up. They took it. Because they didn't have no intention of talking. Like this one time, you see. By that jurisdiction which employed or sent for them, but none of the jurisdictions to exceed these numbers until by a meeting of the commission for this confederation, of greater aid appear necessary. And this proportion to continue upon the knowledge of greater numbers in each jurisdiction.
They just said they could only send 100.
No.
No, they said for Massachusetts,
Yeah,
they can send 100. Now, from the other colonies, from the other plantations,
A
they
greater,
can send 45.
a greater aid appears necessary.
If
Right?
necessary.
So for greater aid period, that's the same, and they're gonna need some more people, they're gonna need some more people. Yeah, see, I know it's a lot of reading. I know it's a lot of reading, but sometimes it's necessary.
It is.
Use the idea of the
It's
makeup.
necessary,
It is.
because you know, we sit around now, and, you know, we gotta go to traffic court. We gotta go to all these other places, all these other courts, and all this other nonsense. Now, imagine if we were all proficient in this and all these other documents. Imagine what it would be like when we went in there.
Yes, indeed.
Imagine when we could refer to this. When I read that Declaration of Independence, I don't know, I've read it before, but I never read it like I did the other night. My wife can tell you, I was sitting out laughing, reading verse 9 and 10. She called me, I said, look, I'm knee deep in this, I'm gonna have to call, talk to you some other time. Because I'm sitting there reading it, and I'm seeing what I'm seeing, and I'm just laughing like,
Yeah, it's for real.
the sons of bees.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Like, yeah.
They
So,
make the call,
you know,
yeah.
like I'm the victim, you know. Somebody please help me, they come to get me. Yeah. We ain't got much more, we'll finish this up, and then we'll take a little break. Y'all can stretch y'all legs. I know a lot of reading, I don't want nobody to get bored. Because I got a lot of stuff up here, and I know we're not gonna get through it all today. So, you know, we'll probably be doing this for a couple classes. But this information is absolutely necessary.
Yes, it is.
Pass them is reading around.
Absolutely necessary. Everybody got it?
I'm talking about as far as individual. Going to reading, you ain't got to do all reading.
Oh, wait, man, if you wanna read, you know what I'm saying? If I need you, you know, I'll call on you, you know, I ain't got you.
All right, brother.
So I'm gonna start up top, I'm going at the top of the page, I'll say it. But in any such case of sending men, present aid, whether before or after such an alteration. I say alteration, I was thinking altercation.
Altercation, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if it's a misprint, or maybe, you know, that's just what I'm thinking, altercation. Because that's what they're talking about. They talking about war.
Same thing, yeah.
So alteration, you know, it's gotta be altercation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's what this is what we talking about right now.
Yeah.
We talking about offense and defense. Even though they didn't say war, that's what it is.
Right.
If I'm on offense and you on defense, then we fight. Or we compete somehow.
Operation is just change. That's all.
You know, they wasn't playing basketball.
Changes.
But in any such case of sending men for present aid, whether before or after such an alteration, it is agreed that at the meeting of the commissioners for this confederation, the cause of such war or invasion be duly considered, and if it appear that fault lay in the parties so invaded that the jurisdiction or plantation made satisfaction, and if it appear that the fault lay in the parties so invaded
The invaders, yeah. Yeah.
and that jurisdiction or plantation make satisfaction, both to the invaders whom they have injured, and bear all the charges of war themselves, without requiring any allowance from the rest of the Confederates so to say.
They're the invaders, though.
Somebody tell me what that means.
They're the invaders, though. They make it seem like they're being invaded.
That means when you come back on your land that we stole, we
Yeah.
can kill you.
Right. With impunity.
Kill everything,
With justification.
see, and we'll meet in the middle. That's what they were saying.
Alteration, altercation. Once I read it again, I believe they were saying alternation. They were deviating from the set numbers.
From the status quo.
From the set numbers, you know, from 100 from Massachusetts, and it says whether it be before or after.
Such order or alteration. So if they, alternation wouldn't fit in such order or alteration.
Alteration is just change. That's all alteration is.
Modification,
All right.
modification,
All right.
or an ensued action. Same thing.
Right.
Alteration
So the acts of war wouldn't look like acts of war.
Yeah, right. Look,
So-
playing word.
So now let's go back to this last paragraph. And then if it appeared that the fault lay in the parties so invaded
The invader.
that the jurisdiction or plantation make just satisfaction, both to the invaders whom they have injured, and bear all the charges of war themselves, without requiring any allowance from the rest of the Confederates or the same.
But they the sovereigns, though.
Who the
And
sovereigns?
they making, who the occupants, who they,
Whoever they invade.
yeah, who they invade. But they make it seem like they being invaded by non-sovereign people.
What
They
they
don't own the land mass. We still claim to the land mass, so it's ours. We don't care about the inhabitants that was already here before we got here. You know what I mean? So it makes them seem like the invaders is the attackers. They're the attackers.
Right, because, yeah, that's the point, that it's the Moors, they're making the Moors be the invaders, you know, onto their little corporate
Whoever sovereign
entities.
they didn't even, that's what they
Plantation.
seem like.
It says, no, if it so invaded, so how much party is invaded, then that jurisdiction of plantation, you have to make just satisfaction. So he's the jurisdiction of plantation, you gotta make the satisfaction.
Plantation invaded.
Oh,
The fault is the invader.
Parties so invaded,
It's a party. Parties.
No, I'm a party invaded, you're the jurisdiction. So the party so invaded, why you gotta make a set.
Can we try to make some sense out of this?
Go ahead, Ron.
And this is one of the biggest keys of this whole lesson here. One, that the first plantations were Europeans, proof positive, right? Okay, this is wonderful to know. Two, when the Europeans came here, they were running from the brutish Moors. See, we have to understand that the British and the English, they were Moors. They're our brethren, and that's why we still fight each other today, because some of us wanted to keep them slaves. It's not about keeping us slaves. It was about keeping them as slaves. So they were subjects to the British, which are the brutish Moors. So they were coming in, and when they first came here, we received them. Until, you know, it's like, what? You need, and throwing it on the ground, you know, crazy stuff. And then the whole thing got flipped. So we have to understand that it's the British Moors. That's why they say the sun never sets on the Moorish Empire, because it's the entire world. So the whole slavery thing is us who put them in slavery first. And here's our proof right in American history. And these plantations and these states are they're not places, they're locations. When they say a plantation, that's a location. They'll say at, you notice that document? They never say in anything. They say at Massachusetts or at something. That's why we had to know that language ourselves and not say that we're in Philadelphia when it's the corporation that we keep saying we're in. You get it? So that's who the quote unquote might be invaders are, and Europeans never did nothing except for pick up the spoils of our wars with each other. Got to get that lesson from this information.
Now you see why y'all got that vocabulary list.
Yes,
Because words change. Even though, I mean, Webster's dictionary, she took the 1828 back then. Webster will tell you that they don't change definitions. That's what they'll tell you. But look at that 1828 I got, and see how everything that you think today means one day means something else in 1828. Question?
Well, Oxford Dictionary, 1948, they're about the most honest. Webster's, I wouldn't even.
Well, you know they started watering them down after that.
Yeah.
Said before, 1965, as long as it's brief, right?
1948.
Now,
Now, they're more, see, the well-to-do read out of that. They don't give that.
I'll give y'all an easy one. Everybody can remember this. Anybody have an old dictionary from maybe 20 years ago? Like Webster just sitting around the house? Nah, not the 65. I'm talking about a Webster dictionary like you might use in school. Not none of the undergraduate books. Nothing like that. I'm talking about Webster's. So y'all remember? I'll show y'all just how words change in such a short period of time. I'm gonna give y'all one word that everybody knows, and it's got 1,000 definitions. What's the definition? Somebody tell me.
Ignorant.
Lazy. Ignorant what?
Nigga.
No, it can't. That word can't be under. So, an ignorant person, right? Yeah. That's one definition from one decade, because they updated every 10 years. Now, what's the other?
Dark, ignorant person.
You said a piece of metal?
A derogatory term used towards a person.
The other definition clearly stated black man, a person of color, is what that was. And then later on, after they caused so much grief, they changed it to an ignorant person. But they say they don't change definitions. Well, why change it? If a nigga's a nigga, then a nigga's a nigga. I mean, just be honest. I'm trying to be smart.
Stir the masses up.
Why change it?
Stir the masses up.
The point that I'm making is words change. So when you go to look up stuff, and you're using a dictionary from today, don't expect to get the correct definition. Not when you're reading these old documents from the 16 and 1700s. If you can't find that 1828, if anybody want one, I got a bookstore in Jersey. He got a ton of them. That's 75 notes a piece. In my opinion, 75 notes, I'm spending on something I take. Because if I didn't, I wouldn't have gotten all of these definitions. This ain't all of them. Get off your phone. What you doing on the phone?
Never.
Look at them bigger.
Was this all the definitions?
That's all that you gave me.
All right. So it probably was a few more that we didn't get to. But if I didn't have that 1828, and I decided to read the Articles of Confederation from 1643 to 1684, I'd have been lost. Because it frustrates me when I get to a word and I don't understand. And if I can't look it up, I'm lost. Like you said, it's English, but it's a different language. Let's finish this up. Where's we at? So that's the middle of that paragraph. Starting and further that, if any jurisdiction see any danger or of invasion approaching, and there be time for a meeting, that in such a case, 3 magistrates of that jurisdiction may summon a meeting at such convenient place as themselves shall think meet. Yeah, I know what it means. I'm just saying, to consider and provide against the threat and danger, provided when they are met, they may remove to what place they please. Only whilst any of the 4 Confederates have the 3 magistrates in their jurisdiction. Somebody tell me why it's 3, and it's why it's 3 magistrates in 4 jurisdictions. Because of the size.
Say that again?
Because of the size of it. Because of the size of it. When they all 4 of them are plantations. All 4 of them are jurisdictions. But they only have 3 magistrates. I'm imagining out of 4, which one would be the smallest? Of course, it's not Massachusetts.
Not probably New Haven.
So it's going to be either New Haven or that other place in Connecticut, which would be New Plymouth. But because of the size, that's why they had 3 of them. Right. Whilst any of the 4 Confederates have the 3 magistrates in their jurisdiction, their request or summons from any 2 of them shall be accounted equal force with the 3 mentioned in both clauses of this article, till there be an increase of magistrates there. And the magistrates only increase when the population increases. Last paragraph. Thank you, Mr. It is also agreed that for the managing and concluding of all affairs proper and concerning the whole Confederation, 2 commissioners shall be chosen by and out of each of these 4 jurisdictions, namely 2 for Massachusetts, 2 for Plymouth, 2 for Connecticut, and 2 for New Haven, being all in church fellowship with us. Being all in church fellowship with us.
Like-minded.
Right, like-minded. But if you think about, let's think about today. Let's think about the Christian church. If they're not in faith with them, or if you're not in faith with them, they ain't want nothing to do with you. If these 2 ladies right here are part of the Christian church, and I come walking up here and I'm snapping and I say, you have a problem with the way the schools are running for the government? She's passionate, y'all. She ain't want to say yeah. She's saying yeah, she's passionate. How about you? You have a problem with the way schools are running for the government? They both passionate.
Yeah.
I picked the right table, right? I'm gonna have fun.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. They don't want to be on camera, man. So y'all from the Christian faith, man. Say, we pray too much. I'm a Muslim. So can we work together? And that's the way it is with them now. And that's the way it was with them then. They flat out said it right there. They flat out said it right there. And now we perpetuate. We keep it going. Listen right here, y'all. I'm still gonna be on camera. What's your name? Tammy? SetenRa. I ain't sweating. Mine too. Mary said, she said, I ain't sweating. Mom probably gonna sweat in there. You white girl,
Ain't nothing coming.
where was I? All right, the church fellowship with us. I start over. It is also agreed that for the management and concluding of all affairs proper and concerning the whole Confederation, 2 commissioners shall be chosen by and out of each of the 4 jurisdictions, namely 2 for Massachusetts, 2 for Plymouth, 2 for Connecticut, and 2 for New Haven, being all in church fellowship with us, which shall bring full power from the several general courts, respectively, to hear, examine, weigh, and determine all affairs of our war or peace, leagues, aids, charges, and number of men for war, division of spoils. What spoils?
More booty. Whatever's left.
Exactly. So they talking about the division of spoils. That means they're gonna divide up people, they're gonna divide up land, they're gonna divide up everything that they get amongst themselves. And then they just say they was church folks.
Right.
And they talking about dividing up. And whatsoever is gotten by conquest, receiving of more Confederates for plantations in combination with any of the Confederates, and all things of like nature, which are proper concomitants or consequence. Concomitants, accompanying or conjoined with. That's what that means. Consequence, with or to follow. I apologize. Those words should be on the list.
They might as well wrote everything instead of all that.
Well, I mean, what's wrong?
Oh, you didn't give me those words.
I ain't give those words? She ain't doing a job,
No.
If I say some word on the list and ain't no word on the list, y'all see spring after class.
Oh, throwing it under the bus.
So concomitants means accompanying or conjoined with. I'll write that in. And consequence, with or to follow. That's not that, so they don't use periods in these sentences, right? General courts respectively to hear, examine, weigh, and determine all of our affairs of war or peace, leads, aids, charges, and numbers of men for war, division of spoils, and whatsoever is gotten by conquest.
Receiving.
Yeah. No, I was just stuck on conquest because, you know, that's it. That's all it comes down to. It's conquest. We taking over. That's all it comes down to. Receiving of more Confederates for plantations into combination with any of the Confederates and all things of like nature, which are the proper concomitants or consequence of such a confederation for amity, offense, and defense. What's somebody tell me what's amity?
Friendship.
I ain't gonna say friendship and war, friendship and war.
And conquest.
It's gonna be one or the other.
And conquest, yeah.
All in the same sense, not intermeddling with the government of any of the jurisdictions, which by the 3rd article is preserved entirely to themselves. But if these 8 commissioners, when they meet, shall not agree, yet is concluded that any 6 of the 8 agreeing shall have power to settle and determine the business in question. But if 6 do not agree, then that such proposition, with their reasons so far as they have been debated, be sent and referred to the 4 general courts. Now, they already established courts.
Red tape. Red tape.
They already established courts. So they showed up and they practically took over and established their own jurisdiction their own authority, their own courts, and everything.
Yeah.
And then they started to prepare for war, and then they started to plot out how they were going to take your land, take you, and trap you,
And resources, yeah.
take your resources, and how they were going to live and how you were not.
Right. Namely from Massachusetts.
And they only in New England.
What's that?
Namely from Massachusetts.
I'm just saying, and they only in New England at this point, with
Right.
done established all this, just in that small part. Wait till we get to the part where they realize, you know, west of the Mississippi.
I don't know if none of them states are as big as Pennsylvania.
No.
Massachusetts is a nice size,
No.
but I don't think it's as big as Pennsylvania. They probably not even as large as New York. So you're right, you're talking about those 4 small plantations, and they already had those plans. So you hear about Manifest Destiny a whole 100 years later, but it was already plotting back then, they just didn't have a cute title back then. Namely, the Massachusetts. So now these are the courts we're talking about, which are 4 general courts. Namely, the Massachusetts, Plymouth, Connecticut, and New Haven. And if at all, the said general courts, the business so referred be concluded, then to be prosecuted by the Confederates and all of their members. It is further agreed that these 8 commissioners shall meet once every year, besides extraordinary meetings, extraordinary, however you want to say it, according to the 5th article, to consider, treat, and conclude of all affairs belonging to this Confederation. I'm gonna stop there. How many, just by show of hands, how many people are somewhat familiar with the Constitution? All right, so I'm gonna read one more line. I'm gonna read one line that we just went over. It is further agreed that these 8 commissioners shall meet once every year. Thank you. Congress meets once every year.
Yeah.
Every first Monday in December. And the Constitution was when, Rick? Constitution was when?
1776, right?
Nah, well, that's the Declaration of Independence.
91,
We're gonna work today.
1791.
So we talking from 1643 to 87 when they started running. That's what, 133 years? They already had everything figured out. Y'all remember, the Articles of Confederation came before the Constitution, and they ended up scrapping the Articles of Confederation and having a constitutional convention because the Articles of Confederation wasn't working. We should have remembered that in school. But telling y'all again, that was the purpose of the Constitutional Convention. Articles of Confederation wasn't working.
We taught them well.
Where we at? Where am I at, love?
Which meeting shall ever be the first Thursday in September?
All right, cool. And that the next meeting after the date of these present, which shall be accounted, the second meeting shall be in Boston, in the Massachusetts. Now, I'm gonna stop right there and I'm gonna go back to what Grand Chief is right, they just said to us. It says it shall be at Boston, in the Massachusetts. So when we talk now, we don't say in the Pennsylvania. So when they say in the Massachusetts, they saying in the plantation, in the colony. And when they say at Boston, it's like she said, these are places, these are things. So you gotta, this is what I'm saying. When we talking about writing writs and we talking about writing these documents, we gotta be cognizant of all of this from before, because this is how they still talk. It's not how we talk every day. But when you go in front of the magistrate in his office, in his tribunal, and he be talking, and it's almost like Greek. Like, what the hell are you talking? But, oh, I'm sorry. I'm embarrassed now. I didn't get it. She embarrassed now. Oh, they bashful. But it's, you basically need to know these documents. And I'm glad that the elders pushed me back, because I was going to the Constitution and the Treaty of Friendship. I'm glad the elders said, no, you gotta go before that. You gotta go all the way back here. And I'm glad they did, because going all the way back there opened up my eyes to a whole lot. So like I said, I know it's not a read. I hope they're on board. I hope y'all learning too. But let's finish up this document and we
Oh,
can ease into
brother,
it.
also tell them they can get that on the site on MHH as, you know, the page.
Yeah, if you get this, all of this stuff, let me tell y'all
It's
something.
a test on it too.
Yeah, the test is on there, but let me tell y'all something. This stuff is on RB Bay, on the MHH, on the MHHS Eyes Wide Open page. But if any of y'all go in there and download this after I did all this print, all you see all this stuff, we get printed all this stuff. So
Well, tell others, tell others.
it's easy. Let's get finished.
No, he wasn't black, he was a Moor.
So they saying the next meeting shall be at Boston, in Massachusetts, the third at Hartford, and the fourth at New Haven, the fifth at Plymouth, the sixth and seventh at Boston, and then Hartford, New Haven, and Plymouth. So they're just gonna go all the way around in the same circle that they go. Circle Church, German, you know. My man, he been studying. And so, of course, successively, if in the meantime some middle place be not found out and agreed on, which may be commodious for all of the jurisdictions. Article 7 should be the last page, y'all.
No, it's not.
Huh?
No, it's not.
It's not?
You got 10, 11.
That's what I do.
Article 12.
It is, so Article 7, it is further agreed that at each meeting of the 8 commissioners, whether ordinary or extraordinary, they or 6 of them agreeing as before, they choose their president out of themselves, whose office and work shall be to take care and direct order and calmly meaning suitable. That should be on your list. I hope it's on the list, but you can write it down. Calmly means suitable. So their president, his job, his office work, and shall be to take care and direct for order and a calmly carrying on of all proceedings in the present meeting. But he shall be invested with no such power or respect as by which he shall hinder the propounding of progress of any business or any way cast the scales otherwise than in the precedent articles. Precedent article is agreed. Now, when y'all go back to that, it says their president. It says 6 of them agreeing as before may choose their president. So how many presidents did they choose? No, I'm not talking about
Their president.
I'm not talking about the presidents of the Continental Congress. I'm talking about these plantations. If it says 6 of the 8 of them may choose their president, then how many presidents? 6. Now, what was the president's? What was their job? Office work. Keep order. Right. Right. That's it. Just do some office work. Paper. He's a clerk. Mom was a clerk. Article 8. It is also agreed that the commission for this confederation hereafter, at their meetings, whether ordinary or extraordinary, as they may have commission or opportunity, do endeavor to frame and establish agreements and orders in general cases of civil nature, wherein all the plantations are interested. I can't yell at the elder. He's a little young, I'll be, in his chest, Anybody got their ring on? Turn them over, please.
Preserving the peace.
I'll start over, Article 8. It is also agreed that the commissioners for this confederation hereafter, at their meetings, whether ordinary or extraordinary, as they may have commission or opportunity, do endeavor to frame and establish agreements and orders in general cases of a civil nature, wherein all the plantations are interested, for preserving the peace among themselves, for preventing as much as may be all occasion of war or differences with others. So right there, they talking about just getting together and plotting. They'll say to prevent war. but they never prevent war. Even today, with this nation here, all they do is provoke it. Everywhere they go, every place they go, they provoke war. They ain't in the business of preventing anything. As about the free and speedy passage of justice in every jurisdiction to all the Confederates equally as their own, receiving those that removed from one plantation to another without due certificate. How all jurisdictions may carry it towards Indians that they neither grow insolent nor be injured without due satisfaction, lest war break in upon the Confederates through such miscarriages. Now let's talk. Who were the Indians? Moors. So they saying if any of y'all Moors come through here without due certification, proper paperwork, it's gonna be a problem.
It's just like apartheid in South Africa.
It's gonna be a problem. Now, how you gonna come in my house and then you sit in my dining room and tell me if you walk from the living room to the kitchen and you come through this dining room, it's a problem?
Coming through the front door is a problem.
They wrote it, I ain't making it up.
Does proper paperwork.
I ain't making it up. So I gotta get permission from him
Yeah.
to go to my house. So I gotta get a driver's license. I gotta get permission from them. We established that last week. License is permission to do something from somebody else, from my father. So I gotta get, it didn't just start. We're going all the way back to 1643.
But that was really, as you're reading that was really only permission for them to go from one plantation to the other. Had nothing to do with us. All of that stuff right there has to do with them binding themselves together. And those are the rules for them to go from one, it says it right there, from one plantation to the next. And that whole voting thing, all those numbers, that's where they get the join the vote thing. If you make yourself a citizen/member of the plantation, which we call today the corporate state because they are exactly proved the same thing, then you're seeing that you are subject to that. Because that's really all that was. That permission was to go from one plantation to another. They weren't talking about all of the land because it wasn't their land. They only set up a fort. You know, later called a fort. Plantation, fort, Union, Confederation, Union State, United States of America corporate state today. Still the same. So we don't need, you already went to that yesterday, but all of that is not for us at all. Who they were planning to, later on, as you know, some of them and some of us joined up with some of them and said join to fight each other. That's the point we have to get, because they do nothing except for prosper off of our spoils and what we have done. And this is the point. Like, in other words, they don't have the power that they appear to have. Because right now, when you're reading this and you know who's who and what's what, you're not going to address this thing the same anymore. At least I hope not.
No, because you know it's
You're
color.
not. I mean, that's the whole point.
Yeah, you know it's all color.
So what that means is you're going to recognize that that stuff does not apply to you. Because when the hammer came down after they did all this, it's like, well, wait a minute. Like you said, then came, you know, the treaty and the Constitution, because we was beating them up, and not letting them sail on the waters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So then when that peace came and the Constitution came, you know, it's like, yeah, you may have this, this, and this, and you can do your states. That's what Article 6 is. But as long as you don't do anything that abrogates the people's rights to travel on their land. Period. We don't really care what they've done.
Y'all gonna see when we read the Declaration of Independence, y'all gonna see exactly what she's talking about.
Right.
Because how many people read it before the Declaration of Independence?
It's funny.
Yeah, it is funny.
Real funny.
I'm telling y'all, when I sat down, okay, my wife said, baby, she tell you like verse 19. I was laughing. I was excited. In fact, I called Tyler. I was excited. I'm sitting there and I'm just sitting there and I'm just laughing like, these SOBs. Like they got, they got some nerve. Boy.
Victim, yeah.
That's coming up. That's coming up. Let's pick this time. What time? Somebody give me what time?
1:20.
All right, let's try to finish this up. We take it
miscarriages. In the middle paragraph, miscarriages. It is also agreed
It is also agreed that if any servant run away from his master into any of if any servant run from his master,
They talking about digital service at this point. They
Ah.
talking about digital service.
Ah.
One of those slavery.
Y'all remember that, right?
It was the digital service.
Y'all remember that indentured servitude?
Seven years.
So if I'm in indentured servitude to her, what was it? I work for you for 7 years and then I can break?
Yeah.
So I'm only 2 years in and I ain't gonna make 7 years.
Right.
So I'm getting out of here. They put it in.
Yeah.
They ain't talking about us being slaves, y'all.
No, it's down.
They ain't talking about us being slaves.
Not yet.
Indentured servitude.
Not
They
yet.
taught us about that in school, but they just think it was, it was cool.
Not yet.
That it was just something that happened. But don't forget that we had them enslaved too. It is also agreed that if any servant run away from his master into any of these other confederated jurisdictions, that in such case, upon the certificate of one magistrate in the jurisdiction out of which the said servant fled, or upon other due proof, the said servant shall be delivered either to his master or any other that pursues and brings such certificate of proof. Indentured servitude. When I saw it, I just highlighted it and I wrote indentured servitude right on the side of the page because that's all it made me think about was indentured servitude, not slavery. Because this is 1643, right?
Right.
Now, somebody tell me when that first slave ship docked in Jamestown, Virginia. What year? 1620.
16, okay, 16.
So this is 23 years later. So either in 20 years, it went straight up the East Coast, or they talking about something totally different. So when they talk to you about New England in school, they didn't talk to you about slavery. They talked to you about indentured servitude. You didn't hear anything about slavery in New England, indentured servitude. And that upon the escape of any prisoner whatsoever, or fugitive, or any criminal cause, whether breaking prison or getting free from the officer, or otherwise escaping upon the certificate of two magistrates of the jurisdiction out of which the escape is made, that he was a prisoner or such an offender at the time of the escape, magistrates or some of them of that jurisdiction were for the present and said prisoner or fugitive abiding. That's the first Bible term they put in that Bible. Shall forward grant such a warrant as the case will bear for the apprehending of any such person and the delivery of him into the hands of the officer or other person who pursues him. And if there be help required for the safe return of any such offender, then it shall be granted to him that craves the same, he paying the charges thereof. Now, if they say that I'm a what they call them when they say I'm running from the law, what they call them? Fugitive. So if they say I'm a fugitive from law, do they send one cop looking for me? Nah, they gonna send the whole squad. And if they say I'm armed, they can send the SWAT team. They said they would have.
Militia.
They not just gonna come on, they gonna come on. Article 9, for the justice wars may be of dangerous consequence, especially for the smaller plantations in these United Colonies. It is agreed that neither Massachusetts, Plymouth, Connecticut, nor New Haven, nor any of the members of them shall at any time hereafter begin, undertake, or engage themselves, or this Confederation, or any part thereof, in any war whatsoever. Certain exigencies. Now, that word, I have no clue what it means because I could not find it. So if anybody knows what exigencies is, let me know. I looked. 1828.
Agencies or.
I have no clue what that word means. I highlighted it, but I just could not find it.
Pre-established.
So,
positions
that's the problem. With these documents, it might look like one thing and be something totally different. If anybody comes across that word, please let us know next class, because we might come across it again. like I say, it kind of bothers me when I come onto a word and I don't know what it is. So sudden exigencies with the necessary consequence thereof expected, which are also to be moderated as such as the case will permit, without the consent and agreement of the aforementioned 8 commissioners, or at least 6 of them, as the 6th article is provided, and that no charge be required of any of the Confederates in case of a defensive war. Defensive war. See, that's what I'm saying. It's all, they always playing the victim. In case of a defensive war, like somebody just always kicking their door down and doing something to them. But in this same document right here, they talking about collecting spoils. They talking about collecting people. They talking about collecting land, and they talking about collecting resources. But right here, they talking about a defensive war, like somebody's kicking down their door.
They talking about conquest.
Exigent, state or character, urgency. Usually, exigency, the need, demand, or requirement intrinsic to a circumstance, condition, etc.
As well as emergency.
It's Black Law Dictionary.
Well, see, the problem was, I just didn't want to go to Google. Go ahead, bro.
That's mine from the Black Law Dictionary, exigency, demand, want, need, imperativeness, emergency, something arising suddenly out of a current of events.
All right, so I didn't mean to cut you off, bro. So basically, it's another word for emergency.
The most urgency.
All right.
Yeah, urgency.
Urgency, emergency. Unexpected. All right, so we got what? Emergency or urgency of occurrence. Unexpected occurrence, all right. So emergency, urgency of an unexpected occurrence. All right. Without the consent and agreement of the aforementioned 8 commissioners, or at least 6 of them, as in the 6th article provided, and that no charge required of any of the Confederates in case of a defensive war until the said commissioners have met and approved the justice of the war. They always trying to approve justice of the war like what as a mass destruction. And have agreed upon the sum of money to be levied, which sum is then to be paid out by the several Confederates in proportion according to the 4th article. What's the last page of the Article 10. That in extraordinary occasions, when meetings are summoned by 3 magistrates of any jurisdiction, or 2 as in the 5th article, if any of the commissioners come out, due warning being given or sent, it is agreed that 4 of the commissioners shall have the power to direct the war, which cannot be delayed, and to send for due proportions of men out of each jurisdiction, as well as 6 might do if all met. But not less than 6 shall determine the justice of the war, or allow the demands or bills of charges, or cause any levies to be made for the same. It's a precursor to the Congress. It is further agreed that if any of the Confederates shall hereafter break any of these present articles, or be any other ways injurious to one another or to other jurisdictions, such breach of agreement or injury shall be duly considered and ordered by the commissioners for the other jurisdictions, that both peace and the present Confederation may be entirely preserved without violation. Lately, this perpetual Confederation and so, I'm sorry, lastly. You might be okay, I'm tired. Y'all listen, I'm telling y'all, I got these documents this week and crammed them in. I've been reading and studying and reading and studying. I'm surprised I can even see these for y'all. Lastly, this perpetual Confederation and the 7 articles and agreements thereof being read and seriously considered, both by the General Court for the Massachusetts, that's that word again, the Massachusetts, and by the commissioners for Plymouth, Connecticut, and New Haven, were fully allowed and confirmed by 3 of the 4 named Confederates, namely the Massachusetts, Connecticut, and New Haven. Only the commissioners for Plymouth having no commission to conclude, desired despite until they might advise with their general court. whereupon it was agreed and concluded by the said court of Massachusetts and the commissioners for the other two Confederates that if Plymouth consent, then they wrote, then the whole treaty as it stands in these present articles is and shall continue firm and stable without alteration. But if Plymouth come not, and yet the other three Confederates do by these present to confirm the whole Confederation and all the articles thereof, only in September next, when the second meeting of the commissioners is to be at Boston, new consideration may be taken of the sixth article. So only at those meetings they can revise that sixth article and continuously change it, which concerns number of commissioners for meetings and concluding the affairs of this confederation to the satisfaction of the court of Massachusetts and the commissioners for the other two Confederates, but the rest to stand unquestioned. And testimony whereof the General Court of Massachusetts by their secretary and the commissioners for the Connecticut and New Haven have subscribed these present articles on this 19th of the 3rd month, commonly called May, Anno Domini, 1643. Now that kind of threw me for a loop. As far as I know, May was the 5th. So something must have got changed somewhere along the line.
Yes, indeed.
Because they got in here, May is the 3rd month. And as far as I know, it's 5th.
8 years later took effect.
Technically, because the New Year is March. So if they're going off our calendar,
Yeah, you learned our science, yeah.
then something changed along the way, right?
Georgia,
I don't want to see blank eyes, I want to see wide eyes.
Somebody became friends with somebody.
They were just not counting.
we had 16.
It was us that taught them agriculture. It was us that taught them to plant and grow. So if we taught them how to plant and grow, then we taught them all of our calendar.
Okay, 1640, they 800 something.
Even you seeing that they put Anno Domini. You know, they've been telling everybody for years that AD meant after death.
Yeah.
After the death of Christ. They actually put on there what it is, Anno Domini.
What's Anno Domini? That's Latin for,
That's like, I don't know what it is. Anno.
Year.
Anybody know what Anno Domini is? Talk to me, bro.
Anno is year.
I know it.
Let the brother tell.
When I was in school, it said Anno Domini means in the year of our Lord. But when I look at it, I just look at it like annual and domination, or of when they start dominating, kind of the words.
So technically it means in the year of our Lord. So anytime you talking about the year of the Lord, Christianity, or anything like that, you know they come from war. So, year of the Lord, 1643, because you know that's not proper years.
Yeah, like,
1643 is not proper years. Let's finish up the last paragraph, and we take a break, stretch our days out, do whatever. At a meeting of the commissioners for the Confederation held at Boston, the 7th of September, it appeared that the General Court of New Plymouth and the several townships thereof have read, considered, and approved these articles of Confederation, as appeared by commission of their General Court, bearing date the 29th of August, 1643, to Mr. Edward Winslow, Mr. William Collier, to ratify and confirm the same on their behalf. We, therefore, the commissioners from Massachusetts, Connecticut, and New Haven, do also from our several governments subscribe to them. So right there, we just went through the whole articles, the 1643 Articles of Confederation. So you can see that all we got here is when they, not even when they started the plan, just when they documented their takeover. Any questions on anything? All right, cameraman, we'll take a little break. We'll get back at it.
Community garden. They get your community members involved in the support and start gardening. And then you create unity within your community and start voting out people who are still within the matrix and in the systems, and they don't want to necessarily come out. But we need to vote people out influencing to vote people out who don't recognize our Constitution. And if you're interested, I'm going to pass this around, and I would like your name and your number. Thank you.
Rob.
Hello, everybody. Some people are new here, so that's why I keep mentioning every time I show up. I'm with the state of Amexem Republic, part of the more nationals, and we have an aggressive, we've been an aggressive group of people. One of the things is we're offering services to all more nationals is insurance programs. So right now what we have offered is personal auto, commercial auto, trucking, general liability and workers' comp, and contractors, and bid bond performance bonds. And the effort was to suggest we add life and health on the homeowners, so we'll get that in there too. But right now, that's what we're offering. So if you're interested, an example, personal auto, if you got a car, instead of paying $100 a month, 15,000, 30,000, and 5,000, we're saying full coverage, 100,000, 300,000, 25,000 for medical, 100,000 for extraordinary medical, full coverage, no deductible, and uninsured, 100,000, 300,000, $75 a month, 250 days. That's it. So that cuts down a lot coming out of your pocket. Since there's really no money, as we all already just say, there's no money out of it. So everyone wants to really cut down the insurance companies. We got to break it down because they're supporting the courts, which is killing us. Okay, so we want to break them down in the background. So consider getting insurance through here. It's a process, political, because we got to get you 9-digit numbers, increase the policy number, and then plates, or 6 digits and all that. It's all detailed, but that's for you to consider. We have our office and we'll help you discuss all that, all those details. Thank you. Have a great day. Islam.
Can I have this picture?
That's good.
Yeah. Right. Is that a year?
Skin of bronze, hair of gold.
What happened, what?
What year?
Oh, actually, you know what, it's interesting, I think it's 17, I'm not sure, don't quote me, but I will say this. I did have people write me and say, oh, you have a wonderful site, and I knew it was probably a European, right, or illustrated. But when you put pictures up like this that you don't qualify, you know, because nobody wants to believe, especially Europeans, that King George is a Moor because they love him. They just didn't know that he was Moor, right? They gave the patents and stuff to them. So what happened was, that forced me to go and get the source. The source of that photo, and you can go find out for yourself, is, I have it on the site, and then you can write to the museum, and guess where? London, England. That sits in the museum in London, England. And so you can find out from that what year that picture was, but I think it might be on the site the year, but I don't have it on the top of my head. So that's where it's from.
I would have to say so, because it don't look like he got my date.
It looks like 17 and
You
stuff.
know what I'm saying? So basically what Rick was saying was what King George first and second Moors too, but don't look like his brother got nothing in it. Y'all know what I mean. Don't look like he been amalgamated at all. And he had, before, with his mother and father. So I would say so, that is, but His Most Sacred Majesty, King George III. When I saw this on the site, and it was some writings on there too. I thought I had it. I forgot to bring them, so y'all forgive me for that. But you go to RV Big Publications. This is where I got this from. And you can actually look at this picture from the London Museum, like she said. Even like she said, call right to the London Museum, however. They'll send you the information. But just so y'all know, when we talk about King James, King George, the third,
You got your
as
flash
we read
drive.
the Declaration of Independence, this
You got
is
your flash drive.
when they talk about all the things that he done, this is who they're talking about. So they're talking about the British or British Moors. So the next document we go in is the Declaration of Independence. Everybody got a copy? Anybody who don't, raise your hand, please. Everybody good? Everybody good?
Yes. Tom.
Declaration of Independence in Congress, July 4th, 1776. The unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth a separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to separation. Now, let's look at that first paragraph. Anybody see anything in there? What you see, Ron?
I see it says separation between people or mankind, something like that.
To separate the equal station to which the laws of nature
And
nature's God
nature's God.
entitle them.
Talking about two different people.
They're trying to, they're trying to say you have to declare what's making you want to separate yourself from these laws. I mean, from their political ties.
Who's mankind? When the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth a separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them. Nature's law and nature's God. Whose principles are those? Moors. Now, if we were talking today, what would we be talking about? Nature's law and nature's God. What are we entitled to?
The Constitution.
Say that
Principles of the Constitution.
If we were talking today, nature's law, nature's God. What are we, and they're saying we're entitled to?
Birthright.
Inalienable rights.
Talk to me.
Inalienable rights.
Treaty of peace and friendship.
Birthright.
Unalienable, inalienable birthrights.
Your birthright. Your birthright, which you are entitled to. They tell you it's your God-given right. Your birthright. Here they are in your land, talking about nature's law and nature's God, something that's entitled to them. A decent, you know? Okay. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to separation. Now already they're talking about, they're trying to put somebody on the guilt trip to make it seem like somebody done something to them. Already in the first paragraph, they want you to believe somebody done something to them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind. This is already July 4th, 1776. They done already been calling you niggas and raping your women and taking mother's children and doing whatever they wanted from them. Or to them. And here they are talking about they want a decent respect. We can't
But we didn't treat them well, though.
I know we didn't.
Yeah.
I know we didn't, but they don't act well.
True that.
I mean, come on. see, if somebody acts right, you ain't just gonna abuse them for no reason.
That's right.
It's not our nature.
I'm just being realistic. Like I said earlier, we ain't teaching European hate. We ain't teaching more supremacy. We ain't no truth. Truth. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
If that's the case, you don't need the free.
I don't think so.
The end.
Didn't they tell you was 3/5 of a man? These same people, they told you was 3/5 of a man. And here they are saying, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. You talking about a lawless, non-moral habit. Come on. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying God didn't start hating them, no. But we need to understand who it is that we're dealing with. So like I said earlier, when we go into these tribunals and we look at him in his face, you gotta know that his grandfather, his great-grandfather was part of this. And like I told y'all before, if I can look like my grandfather or my great-grandfather, and my facial structure looks like his, my eyes look like his, even the little twitch that I got on my pinky, it's like my great-grandfather's. Y'all think I don't have his memories?
Of course. You might be Benjamin Banneker returned then. Let me
Might
tell you
be.
why. Let me tell you why. Because if you read Benjamin Banneker's letter to Thomas Jefferson, he said exactly what you just said to a degree when they were looking at the wars, the spoils of wars, and they said to him, they were looking at the Moorish and they look all ragged. He says, wait a minute, what are you talking about? You just now said, aren't all men created equal? That's exactly what, you know what, read that letter. It's on the site on the Forgotten Scrolls. Check it out.
Yeah. I mean, these are the same people. So when you read this, when you look how I marked it. It's only the first page. I highlighted it, wrote all over it, and I was laughing as I'm reading, like these SOBs, they got some nerve. And we want to be treated like people, but they for them. Come on, man. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator. But they say their Creator. Now, if I'm standing there and I'm talking about my Creator, and then I'm talking about Rick and Tiger, and I say their Creator, that means we got two different creators. That means we worship in two different that they were endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But these same people enslaved your ancestors. These same people chased down your mothers and your grandmothers and your great-grandmothers and had their way with it. And to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Now, what type of government does that talk about? Republican. That talks about the Republican form of government. I'll read it again. Governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute a new government. What type of government would they be talking about? Democracy. It applies to today. Y'all will see that as I read, and y'all will see as y'all read along with me, that the things that they cried about, that King George was doing to them, it's the same thing that they're doing right now. Y'all gonna see it.
SetenRa, can I share with that? Everybody take note at the beginning where it says that all these truths to be held self-evident, that all men in lowercase are created equal. And then down at the further down where it says government are instituted by and among men with the uppercase.
That's a good.
I don't know if that's an edit, but you know.
I don't know, but it's a good catch because it's just like people and people. It's just like person and persons.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's a good catch because I missed that. So
Lord and Lord
what he
God.
pointed out is in the first line where it says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. And then you go down a little bit on the third line, and say governments are instituted among men. And men, on the third line, is a capital M, and on the first line, it's a lowercase m. And we can look at that in the same light as we look at people and persons with lowercase and uppercase p's. It's that wordplay all over again.
You see that as well, right of the people.
So just to be clear, anybody not clear on what a lowercase p and uppercase p means? You're not clear on it? You're not clear? All right. When you're dealing in law, because we talking law. When you're dealing in law and you use a lowercase p, talking about people, you're talking about corporate entities, artificial constructs. When you use a lowercase p talking about people, then you're talking about natural, living, breathing people. You follow? So when you use the lowercase p, you're just talking about an artificial construct. You're talking about a colorable person, a colorable entity, a false person.
So you say the person, place, a noun is properly, just like your so-called name. If it's in all cap letters, it's a corporation, no doubt by law, no matter what you feel about it. But if it's the first letter, let's say if it's Thomas, the first letter is a T, that's uppercase, H-O-M-A-S. That's properly expressing a person, place, or a noun, or person, place, or thing. Yeah.
Clear?
Yeah.
You clear? When you spell people or person with the uppercase P, you're talking about a natural, living, breathing person,
Right.
not an artificial construct.
Right. Oh, excuse me, also, you were saying that they have it as all small.
Initial caps, meaning the first
The-
letter of
the-
the phrase is capitalized. The R is capitalized and the P is capitalized. Are you saying that that is corporate, or is that just regular?
No, all caps is corporate, but also when it's improper in that it's no caps, it's also corporate because it's not talking
Okay,
properly.
I'm just saying the word right is capital R. The word P in people is capital P. So
That's
it says
proper.
right of the people. Is that corporate, that phrase?
No,
She's talking about the fifth line.
no, that's a person, place, that's actually,
Let's be
That's
clear.
proper.
When we say corporate, do you have you have your driver's license in your pocket? Anybody have a driver's license they can pull out right now?
Strong.
nobody wants to pull it out. Nobody,
All right, cool.
they want to pull it out.
Let me see.
Somebody drive.
It's all caps.
So, here you go. No, I'm sorry. You supposed to ask questions. See how his name is all capital?
Okay, so my first understanding, when I saw right of the people, that was a corporate phrase. But now you're
No.
saying that it's not.
That's proper.
No, it's not. No, I saw it.
Anything in law that has a capital letter, that means it's proper. Like right is spelled with a capital R, we're talking about rights.
Let's try to
Draw
start on the fourth line. That whenever any form of government becomes obstructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish and to institute a new government. We already come to terms that that's what we're talking about democracy, a destructive form of government where the majority decides what's going on with everybody. Laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate the governments long established should not be changed for the light and transient causes, and accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer while evils are sufferable than to right themselves by abolishing the forms which they are accustomed to. When you go into that and it says the forms that they are accustomed to, when they talk about suffering, they talking about the treatment that they were receiving from the British Moors. They talking about why they ran and fled from England and came here. The problem is he still had his foot on their necks. That was the purpose of this document. They trying to get his foot off their necks. We see that word in there, mankind, so even when you see mankind, you know who it is that you're talking about. Absolutely. While evils are sufferable, and to right themselves by abolishing the forms in which they are accustomed to. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object evinces, are designed to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. Now, if I have to, I'll read it again. But what does that sound like to y'all?
What they are today.
Who?
It sounds like what they are today.
It sounds like us today. Not what they are today. It sounds like us. Our government's been overthrown. And we sit here living under their corporate, colonial, occupational, foreign government. Y'all with me? Am I losing anybody? Everybody's quiet. I see you like that. Y'all with me? Let me read it again. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, has your land been usurped?
Yes. Yes.
Have you been abused?
Yes.
Yeah. All right, let's talk. Pursuing invariably the same object evinces are designed to reduce them under absolute despotism. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government. If that don't sound like everybody sitting in this room, it's your right, it's your duty.
It's written right there.
It's written right there. But see, the thing is this, they wrote it because they was tired of having his foot on their necks. So when they got the opportunity, he said, all right, well, I got your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren over here. I'll put my foot on their necks. And now let's see if y'all can wiggle from under. Come on, it's written right here. It's written right here. And to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present king of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having a direct object to the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. Now, everything in those first two paragraphs, they wrote back in 1776 about the way they were being treated. And here it is, 2014, and if we wanted to, we could write these same first two paragraphs and send it to them.
Are those the same suffering colonies that wrote this 100 years prior to?
The same suffering colonies. Only the problem was 4 plantations then. Now it's 13. So it's a couple more that's being abused and that's being because they just kept on coming by both. Why haven't we resubmitted? I can't tell you. Let's resubmit. I mean, and everybody in here that knows me, they know, okay. Let's resubmit. I was thinking that the whole time I was driving, I was laughing.
What we say, talking this crap right here in the 1700s, we're talking this crap in the 1600s.
They got to stop. Yeah. Let's go back.
It's already done.
All right, what I'm saying is, let's get at it. If the acting hasn't been done, I'm standing there, you're sitting there, he's sitting there, all right, let's go.
Well, they have registered people, so they got to find them.
The point that I'm making is, let's get it done.
All right.
Amen.
Make it happen.
Amen. He has refused to assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. Assent is on that list. I think it means to agree or accept or something like that.
Consent, yes.
Assent.
You need to set.
To the level.
No, it's not on there.
Come up to a level.
Is it on the list? Okay, assent. A-S-S-E-N-T means to agree. So when it says he has refused to assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good, that's them all day. They refused to agree to admit to any laws. If they did it, then they would be acknowledging and honoring the Constitution that they take oath to. But they don't. They keep flooding us with codes and ordinances and statutes and all this other nonsense. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance, unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. They don't need for anything to be suspended. They just utterly neglect to attend to. You can be standing right in front of some of these magistrates, and you can be giving them your free national name. You can be as lawful as you want to be, and they'll still shoot you down and still call you by your corporate fiction and still talk to you like he got some authority over you. That's why we're going over this law. Question?
How do you respond to this situation?
Court situation? Wait. Talk to me after class.
That's all.
Go ahead. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people. Yeah, now y'all have to forgive me for this. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people. How many people here live in Philadelphia recently? All right. Downtown, between Spruce, what is it, Spruce and Spruce and something, Spruce, Locust, between like 10th to 13th, that place down there is called the neighborhood.
The who?
The neighborhood.
Chelsea district.
Homos.
Oh,
Right?
okay.
So it's nothing but homos down there, right? So he refused to pass other laws for accommodation of large districts of people. Now, what they did in Philly was this. They increased police protection in those areas.
Yep, right. Sure did.
Why?
Because people were kicking their asses.
You got emblem and everything.
They, listen, Rob, if you go down there on the street, son, I'm talking right down the street from Govindas. You go 2 blocks down the street from Govindas and look at the street signs, and they got rainbows on them.
Yep. Not Care Bears.
They got rainbows on them. How come, why are there no rocket flags on none of these street signs?
Well, you know what the situation there is, because it's not a personal opinion about whether someone who wants someone to have sex with or who they think they are. I just don't like the fact that it's a deterrent towards rights of the people, regardless to, it's not about gay rights. That's crazy. It's about, it's just about human rights.
Let's be clear.
So it's a diversion and it's sad.
Gay rights.
Yeah.
Get it.
Yeah.
No such thing. You have rights. That's it.
It's crazy. And then
You don't put a
maintain
term on it.
It's crazy.
And now they got a whole movement going. And if you say anything about any of them fruitcakes, they trying to come down your neck. They trying to come down your neck. Well, I got something to say.
I got something to say. I was coming from the art store one day, and this white girl, she was like, hey, would you like to sign something about gay rights? I was like, no, not at all. She's like, why? I was like, because I only care about human rights. And she was like, well, it's the same thing. I said, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
And I don't respect that.
Y'all know Tyra Banks. Y'all know who Tyra Banks is?
Yeah.
On Tyra Banks TV, when her show was on TV, she actually had a show and gave everybody in the audience t-shirts that said, gay is the new black.
Yeah, that's so
She
crazy.
said gay is the new black, meaning the gay rights movement is the new civil rights movement. So you gotta come on, man, read between the lines. Yeah. But let's get off of that. Let's get back to that.
Yeah. 'Cause you call it
But no, it don't make sense.
They gonna get you.
No, it don't. Listen. Wait.
Yeah, because you need to get off of it because you don't call them fruitcakes and they're going to get you for that. I'm going to show that recording and say you disrespected the rights.
I'm getting you, y'all.
Edit that part out. Edit that out.
He called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records, for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasions on the rights of the people. Representative houses, we talk about like the district attorney, talk about the police, we talk about whoever he got in place to enforce his policy on you. And he does it with manly firmness. His invasions on the rights of the people, because he got a handgun, he got a nightstick, they got vehicles called MVADs, motor vaporization techniques, something like that. The MVAD will wipe out everybody in this room with an invisible beam and cook us all from the inside out. And they said, now that's manly firmness. They said it's only to disable people when they riot and stuff like that. But it'll cook you from the inside out.
Is he still representing King George?
Yes, everything that they're talking about in this is talking about what King George done to them.
Okay.
And because, you know, he wouldn't agree to their terms, agree to let them be free and have pursuit of happiness and liberty in life and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
That's probably simply because he knew how they were. He knew what he was dealing with. That's why he sent them across the border.
He was a go-between to set them up.
He has refused for a long time, after such dissolutions, to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers incapable of annihilation have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions within. So they was feeling naked, feeling like they didn't have any protection. Let's just read it again. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states for that purpose, obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migration hither to this place, and raising the conditions of the new appropriations of land. I'm going to read that again. So, he has endeavored to prevent the population of these states for that purpose, obstructing the laws of naturalization of foreigners. They just told you who they are.
That's right, it's right there, naturalized being.
This they document, right? They if you look to the last page, you got all these signatures, 56 of them, 52 or something like that. Foreigners. The naturalization of foreigners. And just so you all know, the only way to be naturalized is to come from a foreign place to a nation.
That's right.
So none of y'all can be naturalized in this state. Although the 14th Amendment says you are. Until you declare your nationality, you're going to be under that umbrella. The only way to be naturalized is to come from a foreign land, a foreign nation, to another nation. Now, my man's not here. One of the brothers that come to class called me one day. Actually, he sent a text. He said he was listening to a blog talk show, and a grant sheet actually said, in order for you to be nationalized, you got to be naturalized. So when he said that, that's what he said. The grant sheet said on the blog talk. So I got to giggling, and I'm texting him back, and so basically what that means is this: I got to give up my nationality to be naturalized.
Yes.
To be national.
To come back out. Yeah. Oh man, they got some crazy stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what that means. That's what that means.
You know what? That was the same concept of, similarly, the same thing. You got to come back into the Constitution, which was never written for you anyway. It's not for people to be nationalized. The nationals already established the Constitution for the foreigners. We just enforce it. And he was saying, I don't know if it's the same one. Well, what we got to do, since they made us 14th Amendment, they didn't make us 14th Amendments at all. That's just, you got to just proclaim differently. Got to go back into the Constitution under the 14th Amendment, come get naturalized and come back. It's got to be the same concept. That must be their new concept.
It's a contradiction, yeah.
It's such a contradiction
That's crazy.
that it's just absolutely, that just shows people haven't studied anything.
No
Yeah,
common
that's great.
sense.
When I heard the sad part is, he's on the blog talk, so it's a whole lot of people that's not up to speed, who don't know anything about naturalization or nationalization, and they hear that. They say, cool, no, see what you're going to do, understand, you got to get naturalized first.
Yeah.
Then you become nationalized, and then I'll be looking at him like, oh, you sure? And he said, well, the grand sheet's on.
Yes.
Islam, I just wanted to add on, when you look up the definition of idiot, it references someone who knows nothing about their nativity.
Yeah.
And then under that, it tells you to see insanity. So there's something mental, they consider it in law a mental defect, and therefore that's an assumption to claim guardianship over the people.
Yes.
And the naturalization kind of consents for Moors anyway to naturalize is actually to be in the status of an idiot, no disrespect, but what it means in law. And they will assume us insane.
Yes.
Not that it's right, but that's the
Minors.
truth. I
And
just wanted to
minors.
add
Right
that.
on, good brother.
Don't forget about the
That's a
minority.
goodie.
But they are.
What's the minority?
They're not human beings.
Oh, yeah, for boys and girls,
The
right.
minority tag also comes from those of a minor mind based on that.
Right.
So we're all idiots to them. By law, we would be idiots if we don't know anything about our own nativity.
Yeah.
We are really lawfully idiots.
Yeah, and what Roz is saying, and what Ms. Ryan is saying, what it constitutes, it actually is a contradiction that it actually causes you to abandon your birthright.
Yes.
And makes you a corpse, a stateless person.
We have to stop using the word minority.
No, when
Yes.
because
We-
that
we-
Stop using
Yeah.
that word.
We,
Yes.
now see, not only that,
Yeah.
I love the fire you feel when you said that. But
Yes.
we not only gotta stop using the word minority, we gotta stop calling ourselves black.
Yes.
We gotta stop saying, because not too many of us are saying Negro of color. That's usually older folk from the country, from down south, but we saying black, we say black, 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 black.
Black, Negro, colored.
So you know your body, so you know your body is 80% water, water holds more memory than everything on the planet. So when you keep saying black, I'm black, he's black, your body remembers it. And that's what you want to project. I do my best not to say white. I don't never say black. I gave up on that. I gave on that when the first baptized. I gave on that years ago. But there's a lot of people who still couldn't call themselves black. So not only stop calling yourself a minority, because if you look at statistics and numbers, the Europeans are a minority. They make up 10% of the population on the planet. The rest of the people have no DNA. Bottom line, when you talk, go look at the Southeast Asians. Go to India, go to Pakistan, go to Iraq, go to Iran, go to Brazil, go to Colombia, go to Chile, go to Peru. And that goes like that.
It's not, well, just in reference to what the brother was saying over here, I had a phrase from the website I actually used in court, in regards to being a proposed idiot. I do not suffer from constitutional psychopathic inferiority. That's a phrase, I actually used that in traffic court, and I was explaining to the brother earlier, the judge told the bailiff to kick everybody out. Or I'm sorry. He told the bailiff to kick everybody out except for me, and called me up to the front, ended up ripping up all my tickets. And that was just from a phrase that I got from the website. So with everything that they propose or that you don't know of, it's an answer to it. You just got to find it.
Yeah, this bad part, they documents it. So all we gotta do is do this, and then we're starting to see right who they're not.
I wrote it down.
I want a copy of it.
It's all on the website.
He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states for that purpose, obstructing the laws of naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass to others to encourage their migration to them, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of land. He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing to assent or agree to laws for establishing judiciary power. Anybody been to court, they gotta be familiar to you. They gotta be familiar to you. How many of y'all have been to a Article 3 court?
Say it again in the mic.
How many people have been to an Article 3 court before? How many people been to court? Don't be embarrassed, raise your hand. Y'all been to court. Hey, come on, stop that nonsense. Y'all been to court. You ain't never been to court. I ain't, I'm talking, because she was looking at me. You been to court? She bad for what she. She was skinny game and stuff. You never been to court? Yeah. Last time I was in court, I told y'all before, my man told me I was getting deported. Because I told him I wasn't a U.S. citizen. So he told me I was getting deported. So me being me, I was like, what are you saying? But realistically, you want to deport me to where? Vacation away. You send me to go out and that. You know what I'm saying? He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing to assent or agree to laws or establishing judiciary power. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount of payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has erected a multitude of new offices, the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of this security, the Department of that security, or, listening in on your cell phone, keeping all your text messages and voicemails in the database, and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. If they decided today that King Alfred was in effect, they would send in swarms of officers on the local level, the county level, state level, the Coast Guard, all of them branches of the military, they come. And they're knocking on your door. He has sent swarms of officers. Come on, y'all gotta see this. He has kept among us, in times of peace, standing armies without the consent of our legislature. The police, the Coast Guard, the militia, the FBI. We supposed to just be chilling, just having a good time, living life, and you can just be walking down the street, minding your business, and a policy enforcer walk on your head, and you like, what's up? He like, get on the car. Swarms of officers all up in your face.
You said this is King Arthur's?
King George III. King George III. Oh, I said King Arthur. I was talking about King Arthur.
King Alfred.
The King Arthur plan,
The King Alfred.
AKA Rex 84. The King Alfred plan is a document that was written back in the 60s that chronicles your detainment, arrest, and extermination in the 8-hour period. 69. It was written in 69, and then it was ratified in 84 by Ronald Reagan and what's his face?
Alvin North.
Alvin North. So therefore, that code name Rex 84, AKA R.E.X 84.
The two biggest drug dealers of all time.
He has effected to render the military independent of the superior to the civil power. He has combined with others. He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and acknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretended legislation. The jurisdiction in this land belongs to who? Moors. Subjected us to a foreign jurisdiction. What foreign jurisdiction?
European.
No, be specific. What foreign jurisdiction? Colonial, occupational, foreign government. For quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, they wrote the same thing like 3 times. For protecting them by mock trial and punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states. You see what happened in the Mattel case. You see what happened in all these other cases when they've been slaughtering your people and hanging your people and doing everything that they want to do to your people. They have mock trials and let them go. Come on, y'all. Same stuff. 200 years, same stuff. For cutting off our trade with other parts of the world. For imposing taxes on us without our consent. IRS.
Yeah. For
depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury. Who's getting due process? Who's getting? How many people know? How many people say ever been? Don't raise your hand if you've been in prison or whatever, but you ain't see a grand jury. I guarantee you. You're supposed to see a grand jury. You're supposed to see the grand jury. I bet you ain't know nobody ever seen one. For transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses. Now, I've been giving y'all a little bit now. Somebody get that in the back of me. I'm going to read it again. For transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses.
Traffic. Homicide.
Traffic. Maritime law. Oh, man. Speak up. Don't be bashful. Say it loud, man.
Maritime law.
They can't hit you.
Maritime law is doing,
Read it.
has something to do with the water sea.
Read it. When you go in there, and they got the flag in there with the tassels on it, they telling you what time. They telling you what time. And hey, they wrote and cried about King George with his foot on their neck, and now he got his foot on your neck, doing the same thing that your ancestors did to them. He flipped the script, and now he's going to 200 years later. For abolishing free system of English laws in a neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlisting its boundaries, enlarging its boundaries, so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies. For taking away our charters, take charters out and put in nationality. We're taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments. They took your nationality, they altered the form of government, taking it from a Republican form of government to a democracy. For suspending our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. Y'all see it? Y'all with me? Yeah, I mean, this, I'm sitting and I'm reading it. I'm like, unbelievable.
As is.
Yo, we can take this same document. Send it back. Send it back. He has abdicated government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. The policy enforcers don't protect us. They supposed to. But even our own people who wear blue uniforms that look like us have waged war against us. They wage war against us. They would, if all of us go out here right now, and there's 10 policy enforcers outside, Moorish look like us. If we poke out their chest, they gonna poke their chest out even harder. And I'm the one to say, well, what's wrong? I give y'all. These brothers that run around here hiding on PCP, they get high, they run up and down the street naked, and they screaming and howling and making all this noise. How come they never get arrested? All you gotta do is fill it out. Over 400 murders per year. Y'all remember a few months back when I did the class with the police? It was 52 murders by the police in 2012. I don't know how many it was in 13, but in 12, it was 52 murders by the police. Why they not arrested? Listen, if I'm high and I'm running up and down the street and I'm screaming and hollering, and you feel like I might be too strong, I might be too big, why not you shoot me in the leg? What's wrong with a leg shot? A leg shot won't hurt anybody. If you feel in danger, but they don't, they come in there. They come in there. They engage in war.
You know, the other excuses that they're not, it's more of a so-called crime for them to maim you as opposed to take you down.
To kill you, yeah.
What you heard a couple weeks ago when I read their protocols, they ain't supposed to injure you at all.
The oath, yeah.
They ain't supposed to injure you at all. So don't
They're not reading that.
See, well,
That's their oath. That was from their oath.
They not reading. That's from their oath. That's from their code of ethics.
Quick question, what town, because you mentioned this last week, what town that they had to get rid of all the police department?
Florida. No, that's Florida. That was just last week. They fired the entire police department in township of Florida. Yeah, okay. In Florida just last week, they fired the entire police department because it was too much corruption. Some citizen went to either a representative of the state or a state senator, one or the other, and said, listen, this is proper over here. These guys, they killing people, they stealing people, they setting people up to go to prison. So they investigated and fired the entire.
Y'all sure that wasn't North Carolina?
It could have been, but I read it in Florida last week.
Oh.
It must be North Carolina like last week.
Investigate Philly?
Yeah, I'm talking just last week. I read this just last week. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coast, burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. He has plundered our seas,
I'm insulted.
ravaged
I'm
our
so
coasts,
insulted.
burnt our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people. How many of y'all saw when I did the lecture on Black Wall Street?
What's the last part of that?
Black Wall Street. Any y'all know about Black Wall Street? Y'all know about Roosevelt? I mean, not only them couple,
And there's a lot more.
Osage Avenue, for that matter.
Osage Avenue, and even before Osage Avenue, when they was right over there in
Carlton
University
Village.
City in the 70s.
Powers just sat behind the door.
Everything that they complain about, flip the script, go back to us. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny already begun with circumstances of cruelty, perfidy, cruelty and perfidy, scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages, and totally unworthy of the head of a civilized nation. Let me read that again. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries. Foreign mercenaries be the European militias, be the United States Army, be the United States Marines, be the Ku Klux Klan. Don't get twisted. Don't think the Klan is their own organization. Don't believe that.
They're training foreign police departments and foreign military agencies right here in the United States.
Oh yeah, that's
We
why.
turn loose on us because they're not allowed to use our own military.
That's why don't get it twisted. You're saying our own military. That's not our. That's their military. They say U.S. U.S. Marines. U.S. You know what I'm saying? It's not our military.
Right.
Yeah. So
You
when
gotta
it
get
comes
one.
time for them to kick down the door, that's when we kick down the door. And they foreigners. Although some of them look like us, all they did was join a foreign corporation. So last week when I talked about them taking that oath to the Constitution, when they stand there, they say, I solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution, blah, blah, blah. You're swearing allegiance to a foreign entity. And at that point, you just gave up your nationality. You compromised yourself. They foreign entities. Just because it's to say the Philadelphia Police Department, don't be confused into believing that the Philadelphia Police Department is on your side. No, Philadelphia is not on your side. That's why I say city of Philadelphia. He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete his works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy, scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages, and totally unworthy of the head of civilized nations.
They named that terrorism.
Now, like Rick said, it ain't nothing civilized about the United States of America. Us. Ain't nothing. Anytime, and like I said, this is the same about European, ain't nothing like that. But anytime you're talking about Europeans, you're not talking about a civilized. You're talking about a people who, at all costs, will kill, maim, listen, they'll kill their own brothers. They will kill their own brothers. They kill their own children. You're talking about the ruthless people.
You're sitting there trying to have a rational conversation about people they're not even full of people. They're having.
He says you're talking about people that are not human.
They're not
Well,
fully
that's
human.
that's why they tell you that they are human.
Mankind had to make up their own words.
He has constrained our fellow citizens and taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. Sound like who? Sound like Moorish cops. Sound like your brothers that's in the army. Sound like your brothers that's in the Marines. Although, when you read anything out the plan, they're not the ones that's going to get you, because the same dudes that they fight against in Iraq are going to turn their weapons on them and make them stand down. And they get on the boat just like you. they want to vote just like you. We're not going to get through this document. I don't want to push too far past 3 o'clock. So we'll finish it up at the next class, but it's only a couple more paragraphs. School, will finish it up? It's only a couple more paragraphs. Finish it up. We won't drag on. He has excited domestic insurrections amongst us and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers. The merciless Indian savages whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. Now, how can you say that about somebody else when you've been raping, savaging, and pillaging, and doing everything under the sun to everybody else, even your own people? If your people are willing to cut off somebody's head in the name of God, what? You accept these guys. And I take my sword and cut her head off, and then I'll pick her head up and tow it around. Tell us, look around me like,
That's sick.
you gonna call somebody a savage and merciless?
We wouldn't be nice to them if they wasn't savage.
I ain't making it up. I ain't making it up. That's what we talking about. And the same people gonna stand go hissing there because somebody had enough of their nonsense and had their foot in their face. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for the redress of in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attention to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time in attempts by the legislature to extend an unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of the circumstance of our immigration and settled here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity. Now, that line right there is where I got a little hemmed up the other day. James. Too loud. His voice. That's why I got jammed up. Our native justice and magnanimity. And then I called Tosh. It should have came to me, but I'm telling y'all, I was exhausted. I was like worn out. And you know, when you ain't getting sufficient rest, you're gonna suffer. So when I got right there to their native justice and magnanimity, we the British Moors, they came from there, we created them. They're our spawners. Y'all follow me? All right, cool. And we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and consequentity.
Excuse me, did you just see what you said? You said common kindred.
Right.
See, they're admitting that we're the mother and father of civilization and that really we're related to them, they're related to us because we established them with the human DNA of the Negro Yavera chimpanzee. And we need to accept that obligation because they know that already. All that lives wants to live. We just do not know, we haven't known what the relationship is. But I just wanted to make sure, don't lightly go over that. Common kindred. Because if I'm a Moor, and he's a Moor, and then a cousin is mixed, you see what I'm saying? They are telling you that they know that they came from, we all have one mother and father. Why? Because it's only one mother's breast of getting us all sucked. We then went in the laboratory and created them.
That's not. Do me a favor. Pull up. Go put the camera on. She got you too. Pull up the, where you sent me the other day on Facebook. With the European League rules of brother. Yeah. So I'm going to read that over again. I want y'all to have this European League 7.
That's also why the definition of Englishmen, if you look it up, it says we are but hybrids.
Oh, yeah. That's in the Oxford Dictionary.
That's what it says in
It
the
says they
dictionary.
have nothing but a hybrid. Y'all know what a hybrid is, right?
GMO.
We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation and hold them, as we the rest of mankind, enemies in war and peace friends. We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America in General Congress, assemble, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do in the name and by the authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are and of right ought to be free of the independent states. Now, they felt that way. They felt that way in 1776. That's the same way. That's why we in this room right now. Because we feel like we ought to be free of the colonial occupation and foreign government. That's why I said we can take this entire document and send it back to them. That these united colonies are, and of right, ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from the allegiance of the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that as free and independent states, they have full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with firm and reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. They have 56 signatures. People from the different colonies. As I said, I don't know how many of y'all saw everything that I saw, but I saw a lot. And it's that. If you didn't, read it again. If you never read it before, read it again in your own time. Mark it up like I did. Call somebody, call me, call him, call her, call somebody, talk. As I said, y'all, we can take the same exact document and turn it around and send it right back to them.
Send it right back.
Basically, it's just like a breakup.
Yeah, it's like a breakup. Yeah, it's pretty much like a breakup. You know what I'm saying? We want to be free from your nonsense. The problem is they profiting too much off of us. Right now, they profiting too much off of us. You know what I'm saying? All these birth certificates, we got driver's license, and all this other stuff. They profiting off of us. So they ain't trying to let you know. They're not trying to tell you, listen, the state ain't going to have your child for 18 years. They ain't trying to do it. Any questions on either the document, declaration, or the Articles of Confederation? And I hope I didn't bore y'all too much. Hope y'all gave y'all some information. One thing I'm gonna say is, when you come back to the next class, please bring the packet back with you. Because I ain't printing all this stuff again. I'll bring a few extra copies we couldn't maybe today, but bring your packet back with you so we can continue. And as Brother Tiger mentioned earlier, I may have to go back to the Articles of Association, so we might have to squeeze in a couple more, but like I said, you talking about Obamacare? Obamacare is the United States citizen. So, you didn't wait a second.
It's for citizens.
If you're nationalized, if you're not, then you're still technically a U.S. citizen. But if you're nationalized, then you need to wait for because it does not apply. Yes, so there you go. If you're not a U.S. citizen, then you can wait that. And if you are, you have it filled out, then of course they won't come after you talking about you're going to have to pay some kind of taxes. They say pay, but that means you are pay taxes. You know, they don't tread light. What's going on with July 1st? What's going on with July 1st? It's going to be similar to the Great Depression of the 30s. It's because the banks are in trouble. You've been following the bank crisis? What's been going on? You know, all right, well,
as far as the currency,
talk to them about the financial crisis. You want to talk to them about the financial crisis? It's a lot to cover. Basically, the U.S. dollar it's probably gonna be like that.
They said the first thing going up is the gas.
The gas already been going up, but so basically, that's what July 1st is about. US dollar getting like that. I already told y'all. It's already crashed. It crashed a long time ago.
Money been
Like
gone.
I told y'all, when I go to Canaan Land, we talking a few hours away from here. It takes me 6 hours to get to Canaan Land by traffic in a vehicle. And 6 hours wait, they won't take US. I don't know what money is going to pop up. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what system of currency we're going to be using. I don't know. That's what he's fiat. Yeah, but that's so basically we say this is going to be an addition.
Right? Guards and supervisors. Islam. Islam.
Because you have 72 hours. Get yourself
Say that again.
Can't hear you.
72 hours to get it together.
Put the mic up to you.
Can't hear you back there.
Put the mic up to you. We can't hear anything you're saying.
James.
There you go.
That's what that information about. Anything in the safety deposit bank or anywhere, take it out. Because they're taking it. But you got
Foreign
72
accounts as well.
But you heard that banks got problems, 72 hours. Then you ain't got nothing. The banks said what's in there belongs to them.
So they're gonna clean it out. They're gonna clean
Yeah.
it. It's in their
Y'all remember what
institution.
happened in 2000? Did you pull that up?
Retirement fund and stuff too.
Did you pull it up? Y'all remember what happened in 2008? Everybody lost everything that was in their 401ks and the whole nine. Let me read this to y'all before we break it. She sent this to me the other night, and listen to what she said, y'all. She said, read this. She sent me a text after she sent this to me on Facebook, and she said, read this. She said, and let your nose flare up, and then drop your comment, because she said when I get angry, she said my nose get twice as wide. And you know what I'm saying? So that's what she sent me, because she thought I was going to flip to this, and I would read this to y'all. But I didn't flip, because, you know, it was all good. I didn't flip. Say, a European lady sent this to a melanated brother, Moore. I think her name is Alicia Brienne. Okay. Alicia Brienne, hello. We are not friends on Facebook, but we do have mutual friends. Therefore, you are always featured in the people you may know. But I have a serious question after I explain something. I am a highly conscious white woman who feels that the evils of the world are rooted with the white man. To me, the black man is God. The black woman is even more divine. I don't fight against racism. I don't fight for equality. I fight for truth. I will never know what it feels like to be black. And I don't fight for truth only because black people have been oppressed for so long, but to bring awareness of the truth, that they are the strongest and most divine to ever exist. I would like to just know why black men like yourself would never be with the white woman, especially the white woman who appreciates and deeply values your culture, heritage, and your roots. The past that they, in quotes, have tried to cover up. A white woman who fights for ultimate truth, for the ultimate truth. And the brother who responded, his tag is last black man. His response was this: there is a simple answer. One you should understand if you appreciate black people as much as you claim to. I believe in black families and bringing black children into the world. If the black woman is indeed divine, as you claim to acknowledge, why then would I or should I abandon her for you? The only thing that you demonstrated here is that even after all the acknowledgement and reverence that you claim you have for black people, still within you is an idea that you are superior. How else would you have the audacity to tell black people that you appreciate them and then arrive at the conclusion that your appreciation of them has earned yourself a spot next to the black woman?
Great response.
Has earned yourself your very own black man. If you really love black people, their culture, their heritage, and their roots in all caps, what good would you do them by adding your blood to their gene pool? How could you appreciate the roots if you seek to further alter the integrity of the branches? If you really love black people, wouldn't you want to see a strong black couple loving and mating and procreating with each other, and thus bringing more black people into the world, rather than to see them dilute themselves with the likes of you? I don't even like Korean people, but I have an appreciation for the fact that Korean people are attracted to Koreans. Why can't you find comfort and solace in the idea that black people should be attracted to and be with and love black people? You are like the white explorers who loved the animals and other species they came across so much that they took them home out of their natural habitat and destroyed them with their privileged heirs. Think of the dead deer on your ancestors' walls, the captive natives in their pet zoos, the beautiful tropical butterflies flattened and pinned to the inner pages of their species books. Think about the fact that so-called conscious Negroes who have already befriended you, hence we have mutual friends, are not enough for you. You believe you must have access to us all. Black men like me won't touch a woman like you because we know that the nature of the beast is the nature of the beast. We were never the same and will never be. The day we become the same physically, mentally, spiritually, genetically, is the day we, in parentheses, my people, discontinue existing. And we love ourselves, our heritage, our culture, our roots, and what we see when we look in the mirror. Too much to allow that to ever happen on our watch. Maybe the Negroes who befriended you will do it. Maybe the Negroes who will come behind you will do it. But this black man right here will see you on the battlefield. P.S. You say that you feel all the evils to this world are rooted to the white man. I say they are rooted to the black woman. That's the end of his quote. And her response was so much hate. But what I see is not hate. People see, the thing is this, it's okay for somebody to express their feelings and their emotions and their thoughts, and that's okay. But when you express yours, then it's hate. Then they say it's reverse racism. Well, if it's reverse racism, then that means I'm fighting racism that I'm facing in the first place. I read this just because I wanted y'all not so much to emphasize what he said, but to emphasize what she said. See, I'm not gonna stand up here and say I hate Europeans. I don't. I know Europeans. In fact, I told her tonight, and I told my wife, European lady I know a little while ago asked me, when you gonna invite me to the classes? I said, I'm not. She said, why? I said, because I'm teaching my people about the nationality that was taken from them. She knows her nationality. She knows that her mother is Polish and her father is of Russian descent. She knows that. But too many of us don't know that. Too many of us don't know that we're Moors. We think we're black. Too many of us think that we're different from people in Jamaica. We think, why we say, when we talk about people in Africa, why we say real Africans? What the hell are you? I told y'all, when I told y'all a couple months ago, go watch Roots and look at the scene where Fiddler said to the rest of the slaves, I know y'all ain't never seen a real African before. Well, if I say to everybody on this side of the room, and I got JW standing there, and I said, y'all never seen a real African, then what the hell are they?
Right.
If they never seen a real African from the continent of Africa, then that must mean that they were already. We're not talking hate. I want to be clear. I'm not talking hate, we're talking about truth. And everybody know that truth hurts.
Yes.
And some people don't like it.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing about all of this truth, it's a document. And I just read 2 of them. So I didn't make anything up.
Right.
You can, in fact, I'm going to DC next weekend. And I intend on going to the archives and to the Library of Congress. So I can go ahead and pick some of this stuff up for myself. We're not teaching hate, we're teaching truth. Islam.
Islam.